You're listening to Common Sense and Beer, where we hit the hard-hitting topics with a beer in hand. I'm your host, Kyle, and my co-host here,
Zach.
And we have a special guest.
I'm Colton.
It's Colton, who probably knows the intro better than I do.
I just liked how you introduced Zach like you forgot his name there.
Oh no, I like to bring it up like a, like make the rise. Zach.
That's kind of my thing. I've listened to a few now, and I always do that. Zach.
Yeah, it's like a mimicking thing. It's fun.
Whatever.
We like it here.
It's fun.
We like to keep it fun and interesting. So, fun and interesting. Happy, Christ is risen. Spring holiday.
He is risen indeed.
Whatever you want to call it.
Not yet. I mean, he is, but not yet.
Trans Awareness Day.
That's yeah.
It's a great day. Well, that was a day. It's not today.
Yeah.
That's actually the holiday I celebrate.
That's actually like one of the best ones to celebrate. I think it's got like one of the oldest. Passover is probably the oldest, but it's in relation to Passover in a sense.
Oh, I was talking about that.
I was gonna say
Trans Awareness Day.
Yeah. It's how old? It should be older.
Well, if you ask anybody in politics, they're going to tell you that it goes way back,
Yeah.
pre-Roman Empire back.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they were not doing that.
It was just us misinterpreting the Bible. Like, we didn't understand
What
they actually meant.
Yeah, there was a time when it was deemed that it's like, your head is messed up, so we're just going to crush it with rocks and remove you from the population.
Just clean our gene pool.
You remember when we used to have, like, sanitariums? Or sanatorium, when they used to put people that were like mentally defective in places because they were deemed not to be able to. Yeah. That's the worst thing Reagan did was get rid of those, and then now we're forced to live with them amongst us.
And they're just out there punching people in the face. And
Look, dude,
holding people up in the subway cars.
I get that people were abused in those, but was it really that bad to remove some of those people from society? Like, hey, look, these people cannot interact with people normally on a day-to-day basis. They probably need to be in a building separated from the rest of the public.
Insane asylums are pretty whack, but at the same time, how many weirdos did you see running around knifing people in Rockford?
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, so my job is such that you guys heard about the little girl that was found dead in her house up in Janesville?
No.
Yeah. This was it was a couple weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago.
Oh,
anyway,
is this the
it
one
was like
the
a
mother,
family friend
the mother
or something,
left,
right?
Like
a
went on
family
vacation?
member?
So I believe the mom was out of town. Don't quote me on any of this. Look it up yourself. But I believe the mom was out of town. The dad and his brother or one of his friends went to the grocery store or something and were gone for about 45 minutes to an hour. And when they came back, their 21-year-old son was found with a bucket of water and cleaning solution and almost naked. He had stripped all of his clothes off, and the daughter who he was supposed to be babysitting during this hour was nowhere to be found.
So that's like red flag number one.
Well, yeah, and after searching for her for 12 hours,
oh my God,
they finally found her body in the house, in the basement. So, but anyway, talking about the crazy people, I've come. My job allows me to see some of these people, and this
Privilege,
guy,
really.
This guy, I mean, he just whacked out. I mean, I don't know if they have him on like a bunch of medication or something, but just a weird kid.
This is the one
weird,
that
yeah. And you can find him. I'm not going to throw his name out just because, but you can look it up, But yeah, dude, just I mean, you see pictures and you're like, okay, well, it's a mugshot photo,
Yeah.
But then you see him in real life and it's like, ugh, it just you get an uneasy feeling.
Yeah, I'd say, what is it like actually staring at evil in person like that?
Man, some of them. This was a weird one just because I had already known the story. If I hadn't known the story,
You'd just be another guy.
It would just be another inmate.
Yeah.
Some of them you can look at them and you can tell, there's just pure evil behind the eyes. And then there's others that you really can't tell. They're charismatic. They're,
those are the
making
ones you
people
watch out
laugh.
for.
Yeah,
those are the serial killers that go for 2 decades uncaught.
Yeah, for sure. And so, it's really interesting. I mean, looking at people, I try not to judge anybody. And to be honest with you, unless it's some huge news story, I really don't prefer to look into it and look up names just because I don't want to look at them any differently. I'm there to do a job. I don't want it to come in between me and my job, whatever. But at the same time, it's like some of these guys, you look at them, and women, some of these people that you look at, you're just like, whoa, what world do you live in?
What went wrong in your life that got you to this point?
Really. And it's like a lot of them just live in a totally different world outside of what normal people are living in, you know? It's just like I can't imagine what they're seeing the world is like. It's weird.
I had a friend's family friend, middle brother, smoked a lot of weed through his life and pretty much like gave himself schizophrenia. It ran latent in their family. So it was like no one had it, and then all of a sudden, he gave it to himself because of how much dope he was smoking.
Is that a thing?
That's a thing. Oh yeah, schizophrenia and weed are a no-go. That is
like
a bad combination, and it's like that too. Like it just ran into genetics. And
I've smoked weed and gotten paranoid,
right?
For sure.
Well, imagine that to someone who is already so paranoid that they believe the voices that they already hear. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're just amplifying it. So he ended up killing his dad and then like walking to the police station, turning himself in, and it was a pretty far walk. I mean, obviously he's probably thinking about it, but like then he went through the whole thing where it's like no lawyer would really represent him because he's like they wanted him to plead insanity because like everyone wanted him to get help for the schizophrenia and he refused to say he had a problem. So he's like, no, I'm not going to plead insanity. I did what I did. Like, I'm fine. So judge me accordingly, and it's like obviously.
Oh, I remember this. I remember exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
So and like you see the mugshot, you're just like, there's that dead eye kind of look, and it's like, yeah, man, there's something that snaps in people's minds, man, and it's like, and the mental ill, they need to be somewhere.
Yeah,
there's people that can't live with normal society. They will just commit crimes. They will just be violent. They will just hit people. Like it just happens. Like they just
and see, and this, I don't. Again, I couldn't tell from what I understand from what news reports said. This kid was, I say kid, but he was like 20. He's 20 or 21.
Yeah. That's really young to throw your life away.
Well, yeah.
Over what? Like why?
But
man, it's gross.
Yeah, well,
Scary.
it is, and apparently he was drunk and high at the time. Don't know high on what. Don't know, but seeing him. There, I don't know if they've, like I said, I don't know if they've got him on drugs or antidepressants or what, but dude, it's just weird looking at someone that did such a thing. Everyone thinks like, I mean, have you ever come face to face with a murderer? It's like, well, maybe we don't know, maybe, but when you have, it's a weird feeling, man. It's weird. I don't know.
Well, what do they say on average, at least in the United States, you come in contact with 3 people who will commit murder at some point in your life?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a fun statistic.
Right? Right?
Interesting.
On average, anyway.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's way worse in like Baltimore or something or Chicago.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I was going to say, too. Like, have you ever been, like, just walking around a big city and seeing, like, some of the people that are just obviously homeless walking around, and that's what they do? And it's like, there's some psychopaths, dude, just out there. And it's like, you can't... Even if you try to take those people in, man, they're going to kill you in your sleep.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing you can do for them.
And honestly, some of it is like a mental health issue. I mean,
a lot of I'd say like 90% of it is a mental health thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think
a normal human brain isn't wired to do things like that, and then just go on about your day.
Yeah, and exactly. I think, I mean, there's people that, like you said, there's people with good intent. Well, look at it. Look at Chris Kyle and how he died. He was genuinely trying to help people, trying to help veterans who were, were back from deployment, trying to adjust into civilian life.
Right.
And he just gets taken out, it's
by
like,
one of the very veterans.
Exactly. Yeah. So my wife gets pissed at me actually sometimes because Chris Kyle died on the day that we got married.
Why did she get pissed at you?
Because well, it's my fault. I poke fun at it, but she's like, what was it? One year, I said, oh, a month until that day, and she's like, oh, you mean our anniversary? I said, no, when Chris Kyle died. Is it really? That's what you remember? But
I remember them both. One of them really sticks out in my mind.
Yeah, exactly. What do you got pulled up here, Joey?
I think that's a dude,
You think?
a mentally ill dude.
You think?
Yeah,
That is a dude if I have ever seen one.
dude shaking hands with a skeleton.
Kind of looks like the Surgeon General of the
Yeah.
surgeon. What is the Admiral's
Yeah,
Navy
yeah.
guy? or whatever?
Rachel Levine.
That's what it is.
Do you think Biden knows that this
Biden
is...
doesn't know
Biden-
anything.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, the
like-
best thing I heard about Biden the other day was like the wheel's still spinning, but the hamster's dead. Like, that's Biden. He's just going.
Do
But
you-
he doesn't know nothing, man.
Zoom in
No.
on that Adams.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
the White
what?
House.
Yeah,
so
zoom in.
debauchery here.
Oh, jeez.
That's not what you want it
is
to be.
this?
Yeah, what exactly? What?
That's also a dude,
Actually, I feel like I remember this. What is this?
right? Isn't that?
No, that's a chick. I just can't remember what the occasion was for this.
They were flashing at the White House, and then they got like banned for it. So it was like, well, at
no,
least-
they were on the White House lawn. Like these weren't people like
Yeah.
outside. Like
They
No,
were
I know.
invited.
Yeah, they
These
were
people were
invited,
invited.
but they were banned after doing that.
Mm.
Like they actually like there
Probably
was
after
some
the
sort of-
uproar.
yeah, because people actually paid attention sometimes to things.
If nobody would have noticed.
You see
nothing
the
would've
flags in
came
the
up.
background too. There you go.
Oh yeah, we saw that. No, Noah,
Noah,
get the boat.
the boat.
So, okay. So I was not aware that there was an actual. I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all, but I did not know that there was an actual transgender day.
It's a visibility awareness day, is what the White House administration, whatever you want to call whatever's going on right now.
A
The
visibility day.
visibility day.
It's ironic to pick probably one of the most racist and like homophobic, as it were, like people from American politics. Like you can pick a guy that was in during like the Jim Crow era that was definitely probably more pro Jim Crow than
Oh,
the
absolutely.
civil rights movement.
Yeah.
Even though he can say all these times like, "Oh, I was an avid supporter of the civil rights movement." It's like, no, your track
You don't-
record doesn't show that.
You don't eulogize a grand wizard dragon or whatever the hell they're called.
Yeah,
and
the Ku
say
Klux
that
Klan.
you didn't agree with what he was talking about.
Right.
That doesn't happen.
Exactly. And then they pick that guy to be the face of progressivism.
Right.
It's like nothing has changed other than his mental state has declined to the point where he doesn't even know what he's arguing for anymore.
It's just the manufactured destruction of our country. So that they can rise from the ashes and do the whole communist revolution. The transgender movement is the Mao culture Red Guard. Like the youth from the colleges and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the trans are like the super violent, psychopath army that'll do whatever. They already believe that they're being genocided.
That's true.
There's-
You radicalize them enough, they'll do whatever you
Oh,
tell
yeah.
them to at a
Exactly.
certain
Oh, yeah.
point.
Exactly. And then the same thing, you have young black people that think that like 500 black people a day die by the hands of police officers. And it's like, my guy, if that was true, you would be extinct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there would be no more black people.
Do you understand how little of the population you make up? You would
Well,
know.
It's
if that was
crazy.
happening.
Exactly. That'd be huge. Like, and that,
Yes, this thing.
I don't like that thing. What was that thing's
Yeah,
name?
I'm specifically referring to the Keltec. That's
Oh, I'm talking about the thing in the Caltech.
oh,
What was that one's name? So that was Tennessee.
yeah.
We're pulling up stuff here. So we got the Tennessee freaking shooter.
School shooter.
Aubrey Hale. Is that what it was?
Audrey Hale.
So
I
that-
can't remember what the original name was.
So,
So
that's
this was
mentally
the-
ill. This is the one where
Yeah.
they still haven't released the manifesto.
yeah.
And it was
And
the transgender. Yeah.
She killed 3 kids,
I remember. Okay.
2 women, teachers or staff, and 1 black dude, janitor,
Christian school.
in a Christian school in
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
And you can believe her manifesto is going to talk about how she was ridding the world of
Yeah.
extremists
No,
that
well,
was
that,
she-
that,
she
one,
went-
that one's manifesto was released.
Steven Crowder got some of it leaked, but the whole thing hasn't been released.
She-
the
she-
FBI still hasn't released it.
She went there as well.
Yeah, she went there as a youth. Yeah, man. I'm telling you. Oh, and then there's another. So, all right, I guess we're just going to talk.
Man.
Pull up the next Benedict story, because that one's kind of crazy. Because this one was one where they tried to make an uproar. Nex, N-E-X.
Next,
Probably will pop
Benedict.
up. Benedict. And it was
Did you mean eggs Benedict?
I do love me some Eggs Benedict. But this one was this person picked a fight with some girls like a bullying thing, right? Bullied the girls, poured water on them or something. Then they cornered her in they cornered Nex. I don't know if it's a dude or a chick. I don't even remember. They cornered it in the bathroom and smashed him up. smashed him up a little bit. You poured water on us, whatever. It's all on camera, so like they tried to press charges and make a big hoopla about it, about trans hate, like a hate crime deal, because this person went to the hospital and then died.
Oh, the kid did?
Yeah, the next person did. So they're like, oh, the bullies beat him up. They smashed him so good they died, right? Well, no, they overdosed.
What?
Next overdosed.
Oh.
Yeah, on here it says manner of death was ruled as suicide, with the probable cause of death being diphenhydramine and fluoxetine combined toxicity. Jeez.
So that's like antidepressant or anti-anxiety mixed with your.
I was just gonna ask,
doing like a
is this some
Benadryl.
sort of okay?
It's,
Is this some sort of mixture of
antihistamine to
medications?
relieve allergies,
Yeah.
and fluoxetine is an antidepressant.
Yeah.
They said the autopsy found no lethal trauma to Benedict, but some bruises and cuts were found on their
Right.
body. Investigators said that Benedict was reported to have headaches and seizure-like activity before they were found unresponsive.
Which makes sense with that
Which
overdose.
is still sad. I mean,
It's
obviously
sad,
the
but
kid was
listen.
being bullied, but the narrative
So
then
the-
push that as a narrative that they were bullied and beaten to death.
This is one of those where the
Handwritten
lie.
notes that were also real quick. Handwritten notes that were also suggestive of self-harm were found in Benedict's bedroom and provided to law enforcement by their family, according to the report.
So this is that whole kind of the lie, crosses the world like 3 times before the truth has a chance to strap it on its boots deal or whatever. However that one goes. So yeah, the narrative that was being pushed was the whole trans hate crime, all this thing. But it's like this is a very personal situation because follow up the story now. Its dad fucking raped it when it was 9.
Oh.
And went to jail for it. Got released after like 9 years. Was released during this whole suicide incident. And then went back to jail. Like, so what the hell is going? This is some like personal person's issue that they tried to turn into a big trans thing where it's like no one should even care.
Yeah,
Because like
Look, I'm
as
not
horrible
saying
as
that,
this is,
it's
look,
like
this is
the
more-
bullying can only get blamed so far. Where
Right.
it's like there was obviously also a very huge home life
exactly the
like
people
discrepancy issue going on.
And I'm sorry, the people that should care are the people close to this person's life. No one
Right.
else should even know about this shit existing at all. But since we want to call it out, they were raped when they were 9, and look at what they turned into, a trans mentally ill person.
Right.
I can attest, dude, I bet you, like, I'm really bullish on this number that like 98% of the gay, lesbian, trans people were molested in some fashion, sexually abused in some fashion.
some way when they were younger.
Maybe not even sexually, right? Maybe just abused, like,
Sure.
treated less than human.
Well, in their
know.
formative
Well,
years,
I
when their
think-
brain
Exactly.
fully
Yeah,
develops.
but
when they're
at the
young,
same time, I think what has added to the number of people nowadays, I think you'd be right if we were like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I think you'd be right. But now today, I think there's so much of a perversion with pornography and all of the agendas that a lot of these groups are pushing. I think a lot of that is coming into play as well. However, because it's become more of like a fad. You know what I mean?
I was going to say
And
that.
I
I
think-
would agree with the like
But-
contagion, right? Like
Yes.
social contagion
But
aspect of
at
it.
the same time, there's something to be said about those that would just want attention, and so they do this something that's life altering.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
or
like
affects.
FOMO. I'm trying to. It's fit in FOMO.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, well,
gotta-
all the cool people are.
I got to cut my
all the
tits off.
All the cool
Yeah.
people are switching
You know.
genders.
yeah, and
It used to be a tomboy, and now it's like you're a boy.
yeah, and now and see.
so
So
messed up,
one thing
man.
that I think a lot of conservatives miss a little bit on this part is that, they'll always say, "Oh, well, it's a cry for attention. They just want attention." Well, okay, well, there's probably something in their lives that is making them want this attention, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we shouldn't be kind of adding to or just going along with their problems. We should be suggesting that they go talk to a therapist or go talk to a mental health professional rather than
Yeah, dude.
Because a lot of people
Just-
will say that they are very sympathetic. Like, obviously,
Sure.
these people have things going on in their lives. It's like, okay, but when somebody is going through something in their lives and they're lashing out like this, you don't say, okay, but continue doing that.
Exactly.
We need to get to the root of this problem and find help you get you the help you
Yeah.
need.
Talk about someone who has schizophrenia or bipolarism.
Exactly.
You know, what do? You don't just play along.
You're
with,
schizophrenic? Here, I got an 8th. You want?
Yeah,
Did you hear that? Yeah, me too, man. You know?
What are the
because
voices
that
telling you?
about,
What are the
dude?
voices
Yeah.
telling you? They're in your skin.
Yeah, exactly. That's
But,
what I'm
yeah.
saying. You know, oh, this, creepy
Or-
guy is chasing me. Dude, we're here by ourselves. You know, what are you talking about?
Right.
Yeah, or like offering the bulimic girl to like, here, I'll stick my finger down your throat.
Yeah,
for you.
exactly. Yeah,
You
it's,
know,
it-
like,
it's that kind of stuff
it's
that's just
enforcing-
reaffirming
yeah.
this mental illness that this person has. You
But
know,
we've selected this
You
one
don't-
mental
yeah.
illness
you
to
do
be
not,
okay.
You can't persist in someone's delusions as a form of helping them.
yeah, dude. This is
Right.
honestly, yeah, I would agree with you. I think there is a small number right now that is affected by the kind of perversion in society.
I
but
would say
think,
it's large,
but
and
I-
I'd say because of the same things you just mentioned, with how
Yeah.
big of the porn and everything has made their sexual just a gross. Like,
Well, here's the
society,
thing about
man,
porn,
like,
right? We've
Over sexualized.
Well, and here's the thing about porn too is you can there is no fantasy that you can have that doesn't have porn. So any fantasy that you want, you
Tell
can
me
look
more,
it up.
Zach.
No, well,
Rule 34.
yeah, Rule 34.
If it exists, there's a porn for it.
Oh,
Oh yeah. Well, that I mean, realistically, we've talked about this
Yeah, I think-
before. There used to be a
probably, man. You could probably type in anything into porn.
Oh yeah. Well, when we were kids, it was a magazine.
Yeah.
And you were lucky to get
Dude, we
5
all
minutes
shared, like, a
before your dad
magazine, like,
walked in.
hidden in the woods, like
Yeah.
buried in the dirt. It
and
was
see-
gross.
Can't ever
Yeah.
risk somebody you know or love finding it.
Exactly.
No,
well,
man,
yeah,
it was
and-
in
and
the
knowing that
fort,
out
you
in
can't
the
let them know
woods.
I'm a pervert.
Yep.
You know, they can't
well,
know.
and now you can look anything up, any one of your desires, any sexual desire that you could ever have.
You hear
you
that?
can-
You hear that,
you-
iPad parents?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You can affirm it by just going on there and see,
That's-
oh, there's other people that like this. Maybe I'm not weird. Maybe it's not crazy for me to
Exactly.
like this.
Yep.
And-
Well, that's why the population of this boomed, because
Oh, yeah.
the internet made it so that all the weird people found each other. The ones that would normally be shunned in
Yeah.
society for their
Yeah.
weirdo ideas
They
and
wouldn't
activities.
recreate and continue
Exactly.
that bloodline.
They found each other, man, through the internet. So because they're all scattered, right?
Right.
That's how that works.
That's
Yep.
true. I didn't even think
Yeah.
about it like that.
I don't know, man. I think the whole transgenderism thing. Well, first of all, let's
Well, there is something you did say though, like that I want to, because
go for it.
the whole cry for help and all that thing. And it's like a lot of the cry for help, and you, Colton, you just mentioned the iPad parents. It's the fact that parents aren't parenting their kids.
Yes.
They're out there working
Yes.
and worrying about themselves. The millennial generation is so selfish. It is insane how selfish we are. And it's unreal, like trying to not be that way and snap yourself out of it and like understand that there's something bigger than yourself. I think, that's what God's a big help
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
And then having kids. But that's like, I feel like that makes that makes an adult, right? The kids aspect. Because like when I had kids at first, I wasn't the greatest person. I was kind of a piece of shit.
Dude, almost
But
everyone is. I mean,
they've helped shape
okay,
me, man.
I'm sorry. Was this your first time being a parent, though?
what's that?
When you had kids, it's your first
Oh
time.
yeah,
being
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
exactly.
You
Yeah.
have
Right.
have your parents' example, but trying to apply that as your it's and everyone thinks like I had great parents, so I'm going to be a great parent. It's like it's not that. It's not. You
No.
just don't fall into it. It's natural.
Yep.
As much as you want it to be, it's. Everyone says like people's parents do horrible with the first kid and whatnot, and it's like that's. But it's like, well, to be fair, they've
figuring it out,
they've never
man.
been a parent before.
Right.
This is your first time trying that. It's like
Yeah.
you've never done this before.
It gives you credence to a lot of stuff. Like my parents, like stuff I think back to, and I'm like, I give them more credit. Whereas like, obviously
exactly.
as a kid, I
Well,
was
as
like,
a kid, you're
no.
like, wow, my parents suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then as an adult, you're like, they had no idea. How do you react to that?
Yep.
It's like my kids haven't done that. I don't even know how I'd react to that.
Yeah. I remember asking my dad, like, so like, when did you guys get out of like being, when did you guys get out of the renting situation and like, pull your shit together? And he's like, oh, I don't know, man. I got sick of being poor. And I was like, fair enough,
Yeah.
There's like that trend going on TikTok right now. It's like, hey, how did you become a successful woman in this business in a male-dominated industry? Don't ask me how I did it. I just did it. It was hard.
It's like, right. But yeah, man, it's just parent your kids, because you got to get to that point where it's like you got to realize that you've had them. They're relying on you. There's no one else that's going to raise them. Or sorry, there are other people that are willing to raise them, and they will indoctrinate them into things that you will eventually be like, you know, why did I let this happen? But it'll be too late. You know,
saying to just parent your kids is not specific enough, Kyle. Because parenting to
once again,
many
parenting
different
to people is
is
just like, hey, put a screen in front of them. Put a screen in front of them so that they can just, you know, just so they're quiet and they leave me alone while I can do my things.
You know what? If you want
one at a time, boys. One at a time.
All right, I'll shut up for a second. Sorry.
I'm Zach, shut up.
Okay, go ahead.
Moment of silence for Joe.
Hit the soundboard.
He almost did it.
Stop! He switched it. He switched. Are all of them? Are all of them that sound? He made all of them that sound now.
I was actually talking about the chirp sound. I wasn't expecting that.
That's what I did. I played the chirp sound.
I saw his hand go in like, nope, not that one.
Oh man.
Anyways, but you know, so that was. Are you going to leave that in, Joe? Yeah. So that was P. Diddy
and Meek Mill.
Anyway, hold on.
You got tricked, Zach.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Got him. So anyways, Zach.
Do you want to try any other ones?
No. Where were we at?
All right, hold on.
Oh, parenting. Yeah. I think one of the biggest things that a parent can do to parent their children is just be there with them. There's not enough parents that do that.
Just sit down and watch a movie. Sit down, read a book.
Yes.
Sit down. Yeah. Yep.
Be there with them. Be there with them when you can for these big milestones, like a field trip. Go with your kid and chaperone a field trip. That's dude. That's one of the biggest things.
Actually, pretty fun.
Yeah. Well, it's fun.
Dude, I'm not even a parent yet, and I like looking forward to all. Like, I don't understand how there are parents that are like. It almost feels like while they may be present in their child's life, it seems like they're just like they treat their children almost like it's a bother. Or like it's a nuisance that their kids are around. And it's like, dude, are you kidding me? I'm like, you brought life into this world, and you have an opportunity here,
dude. I'm telling you, real quick, because like my wife handles all their life, right? You know, like I bring in the money, she handles everything. She's kind of like the manager of the house, right? Tells me what's going on. So with that, she's like, "There's a field trip that you're gonna want to go to." I was like, "Oh yeah, what's that?" You know, it's like a outdoors thing. There's archery. I was like, yeah, I want to go to that. That sounds cool.
Yep.
And sure, man, it was fun. And I'm out there, you know, and it's not just like you get to be a male figure for other kids too, being the chaperone, because you're out there helping other kids, not just your kid. You know, you get to be there with them, but it gives you that. I don't know. It's fun, man.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Experience.
I went. The first field trip that I went with one of my kids was I took my youngest daughter when she was in kindergarten to the zoo, to the free zoo up in Madison.
Oh, that place is great. I've been there so many times.
Yeah. Well, I have too. But what was weird was I was expecting there to be like another mom walking around, because they said that
like
there would be two
chaperones.
Yeah, they said there would be 2 chaperones per group of kids, and I expected to be walking around with a mom or something, you know, making sure these kids. It was 2 dads. It was 2 dads, and I was like, huh, this is weird. But at the same time, I looked over at the moms that were going around, and they just looked like super like frustrated and like, you know, kind of out of their minds. And
the dads are just having a good time. They're like, oh, dude, I'm at the zoo too. Yeah. I'm also at the zoo.
Well,
Look, a giraffe.
No, we were roaring at the lions, trying to get them to roar for our kids. Meanwhile, the mothers are like, no, don't climb on that. Don't climb on that.
Yeah, the moms are over here like, all right, keep them all corralled.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm like
frantic.
I'm like,
losing
Chloe,
their minds.
I'm like, Chloe, see if you can get under the railing, get by the fence, rattle the cage a little bit.
I think there's something to be said about that. I think that's the good thing about dads.
Oh yeah,
and I mean, coming from my, I don't have a dad.
I remember Harambe, and I know what happened. We don't want to. That's where a clear definition of
you want to know how
that's when the world changed.
You want to know how we got to this point in history is because of Harambe.
Yeah.
The CERN Hadron Collider fucking kicked on, and Harambe took it, man, and then that was it, dude. It was just.
Yeah, I think the parenting thing, you know, and Colton, I don't know if you've listened to too many of our episodes, but we've said it many times that, you know, dads and fathers and mothers have 2 very distinct
and separate
roles.
and very important roles.
Yeah,
in our
absolutely.
Life. And like you said, they're distinct.
Yeah, they can intersect, and they often do.
Yep.
They often intersect.
Well, they complement each other.
Yeah. But at the same time, you know,
that balance between heavy and light.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, the motherly instinct, you know, every kid needs that. no kid can live without someone that has some sort of motherly instinct that's gentle, that's gentle reaffirmation,
that nurture over nature.
Yeah,
right.
But then you have fathers who tend to be a little bit more heavy-handed, but because they care and because they want actions fixed immediately so they don't get themselves into trouble or don't get hurt, and there's such an important role for both of them. And so, we've talked about fatherless households. I think we've even touched on motherless households.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest one of the best pieces of advice that I ever got, well, it doesn't really fall into this, but I mean, just be there with your kids. No matter what they're doing, be there with them, because then if they do have a question about something, you can answer their question while it's still fresh in their brain, rather than trying to bring it up 2 days later when you find out, you stole candy from the store. If you're there with them, chances are they're probably not going to steal the candy from the store. You're going to see it in their pocket. And so you can you can address it right away. Mm-hmm. But I mean, and that's just a silly little example, but especially schoolwork.
That's real world.
Yeah.
Just happened the other day.
Really?
No, with you.
Oh. No. Schoolwork, homework. If your kids are going to public school, help them with their homework or sit down with them while they're doing their homework. And here's the other thing too.
Inspire you to go to homeschooling too.
Yeah, well, that's some of it, yeah. But I think one of the problems that we have in society today too, and this kind of leads into the transgenderism too, but there seems to be some sort of power struggle between the genders, between the sexes. Mm-hmm. Like who should have more say in a kid's life, the mother or the father? How about why don't you both contribute yourselves to this relationship?
Right.
It comes back to that look at how much divorce is on the rise amongst the younger people. That's what I mean.
It's more marriages end in divorce than stay together.
Yeah.
It's horrible. And you look at things like COVID, and I kind of, because I got with my wife, we were pretty 20, so it was before the bar scene could have happened, right?
Even without the bar scene, I just don't understand the massive swing between it. I once again will attribute it to social media. People, you start having troubles in your marriage.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't get I'm not getting the attention I want here, and now I can go get it from 1,000 people online.
100%. Yeah, no, I would agree with that. One of the first things we did was once we got together, we were both like, well, I don't need Facebook anymore. We're like, I don't either. So we just deleted them. They've been deleted for years.
Yeah, even now, I don't even I have a Facebook, and it's rare that I find myself going, and I'm happy because I used to be an addict on that. Facebook was like crack. A notification. That notification button was like my serotonin hit, dude.
Well, I'll tell you when I got married, because I was young too. I was 21. My wife was 20 at the time. And one of the things that was kind of hard for me is because when you're young, you had a little bit of a different scenario in that you had just come back from deployment, Yeah. But my thing was, between when I graduated high school and when I was 21, I was hanging out with friends, going out and partying and drinking and all that. And then once I got married, I knew that was going to have to go by the wayside, but I had a hard time letting it go. Mm-hmm. And so me and my wife got into a lot of arguments because of that. You're always gone. You're always with a friend. You're always doing this. You're always doing that.
Yep.
And
been there.
Yeah. Well, but I think, one of the things that I have realized a little bit over time is that I really don't have the need to do that anymore because, you should be marrying your best friend, right?
Yep.
They should be your best friend.
Oh, 100%.
And especially when you have a family,
yeah,
it's like, man, I can't imagine going out to the bars and everything and missing things in my kid's life and stuff.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I know that it's important for me and my wife to go out, and I also know it's important for me to go out with friends every once in a while, but it's not a necessity like it used to be for me,
Right.
But I think that's when people say, you shouldn't marry so young, there's a little bit of credibility to that, only because, you are young.
It depends on your maturity level.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Some people come to that understanding earlier than others, and some people it takes a lot longer to figure out, my fun to home life balance is horribly skewed in the fun direction for me, and absolutely leaving my partner out to dry with all the responsibilities at home.
And like people forget, like we didn't used to live this long. Like back in the day, they were getting married younger, and it's like we're at least graduated beyond that. We've set like some limitations, like we can live longer now. Let's let kids be kids for a little bit longer. But I feel like we're letting kids be kids for way too fucking long. Sorry, but like into their 20s, they shouldn't be allowed to be kids anymore. They shouldn't be going to safe spaces in college, and little places where you can cry.
Oh my God, when people are asking me anymore, Joey, I'm sure you can, like some of our friends are like, hey, try to go out and party in Madison. I'm like, the last thing I want to do is go out and party in Madison.
I tell you what, I have a story about trying to go out one time.
If I'm going out for a party, it better be at somebody I know's house.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what I mean? It's like people I know are there. I'm like, I'm not listening to a bunch of screaming college kids, this and that.
Man,
it's
that
like
place is
people
horrible.
I know, and it's going to be a chill kickback.
And we better be in bed by 9.
Yeah. I have a very
I don't know about all
I have a
that,
strict
but-
9:30 bedtime.
I told the guys down in Tennessee when we were out doing like a training thing down there, I was just like, because Madison's the headquartered company, I was like, that place is just evil. And they just started laughing. I was like, I ain't joking. Dude, I was like, that place is evil. There's an evil aura to it, man.
It's a college town, man.
There's also, it was the founding place of the communism party of communism.
Really?
America.
Is that where McCarthyism came from then?
Maybe. That's
Because
where
I know,
freedom...
McCarthyism started here in Wisconsin as like anti-communism.
Yeah, he was a Wisconsin.
He was a Wisconsin senator.
Yeah.
Great guy. I didn't. That's probably well. I mean, it's like a knee-jerk reaction to, like you said, like you telling me the birthplace of the American Communist Party. I'm like, now it makes a lot more sense why McCarthyism began.
And it's
like
also
it started here, and we tried to nip it in the butt here.
He tried. It's also the Freedom from Religion Foundation headquarters is downtown Madison as well.
I didn't know that.
And that place is satanic. That's all they are. I mean, like the stuff they're so proud of like stopping. It's like, so you stopped a bunch of kids from just writing letters to kids out in like poor African countries.
Yeah.
Like it's not even religious. It's just that the religious foundation was funding like the mailing of the the program, the cost of envelopes and stamps and stuff. But because a religious foundation was funding that portion, that made it a religious thing. It's just so stupid. Like it didn't even have anything to do with it. But like, and then they even have, if you go to their website, I don't know if they still have it up, but at one point they had a thing and it was like, print off your devil horns. Like, we're proud to go to hell thing. And it's like, seriously, like, come on, man. They're not even trying to hide it.
You wouldn't be so proud to find out what hell is, though.
Yeah.
Well, how
honestly,
do they believe in it?
On it.
Yeah, it's like
Apparently,
why
if they
are
don't
you
believe in
if
it.
you don't believe in religion, why are you even playing into that?
Exactly.
It's almost it's in contempt at that point.
That's exactly what it is.
That's why
And
argue.
you're not arguing because look, if we were without religion, we'd be better. Obviously, it's almost as like a game, like you're trying to get a rise out of Christians. Like it's like you know what they
it's like
believe.
a trolling thing.
You know what they believe, and you're trying to actively like hurt people by doing this.
Right. Like you're not doing anything to help anybody. You're just doing things to hurt.
You're yeah. It's like you're doing this entirely in contempt of them and for no other reason.
Right.
Yep. Just to get them mad. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the transgenderism that we see today is fueled a lot by a lot of that battle of the sexes, if you will, between mothers and fathers.
Yeah. So
and I think single parent households as well. I think that fuels it. I think
that fuels it a lot.
Well, I think our failed economy is also bringing that up because you no longer have with the exception of a few people, the single income household has gone away. You now have both parents in the work.
Have to
it's
work.
Hard,
yeah,
man. They made it so hard. They've changed. Like they've taught us to like be dependent on things. Like
you're now dependent on the state to raise your child.
Exactly.
Because you have to both work. So now your child is now in the care of the school system to raise them.
Yeah. So how good is it that the politicians are making it? This universal daycare, pre-K, 3 years old. It's free for us. I'm going to vote
and all
for that.
I hear anymore is indoctrination is just starting younger and younger.
I mean, they
as a product of this the public school system, I could say that my education was not nothing to brag about,
and it's only gone downhill.
I gotta tell you guys a story. This'll lend some credence to this. My oldest, the other night, I can't remember what we were doing. We were playing a board game or something around the table, and she had a friend over, and someone said something, and she said cheers, and she said to Joe Biden, and I'm like, What did you say? You know, and she
we do
says,
not say that name in this house.
Well,
I'd be more curious, like, why did you
exactly.
say
Right,
that was my
right.
my immediate
because
reaction
they're
was
talking about
why.
him in school, probably.
No, well, it wasn't school. It was she had seen a YouTube ad.
Oh,
She had seen
dude,
an
his
ad.
ads are everywhere right now.
Well,
They're
and I
horrible.
said,
And I'm sure, well, you saying that is like, are these kids' ads different? Obviously, there's a catchy lingo. Whatever she's
you know
watching
what
on
it
YouTube
was?
had
You know what it
Joe
was?
Biden ads.
So what I asked her was, well, first of all, why would you say that? And she said, well, he believes in women's rights. And I said, okay. So I left it alone because her friend was there. I didn't want to, you know. So the other day, like 2 days after this has happened, actually it was the next day, I said, hey, you know, I wanted to ask you about this. So why did you actually, you know, why do you like Joe Biden? And she says, well, I see the ads on Facebook and I really like what they say.
Well, how old is this girl?
She is 9 years old.
I was just gonna say, why does this 9-year-old girl even know who Joe Biden is?
Exactly.
Dude, I bet you there's still like Chinese
So-
people right now seeing what's going on.
I
going
knew
like,
the names
hey,
of the presidents.
This is not good.
Yeah.
I knew the
Yeah.
names of the presidents when I was in school.
Yeah.
Didn't know nothing about. I'm pretty
Right.
sure. I'm guessing Bush. Yeah, probably. No, actually, who was right before Bush?
Before,
Clinton.
Oh,
yeah, it would have been Clinton.
would it have been? It had to have been Bush, I guess, when we were coming
Bush
through elementary
Senior?
school. But
Well-
regardless, it was still just like, yeah, George Bush is the president.
was-
that was the maximum amount
2008.
of.
Well,
yeah.
I'll tell you how this conversation went down. So I asked her, and she said, I really like the ads, and I said, well, I was interested. You said that he is advocating for women's rights, and mind you, I had already looked at the ad, and the ad was talking about women's reproductive rights.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That's pretty much what I figured it
yeah,
was.
and in the ad, it said that Trump was looking to get an abortion ban, a federal abortion ban. So I knew that's exactly what they were talking about when they said women's rights. So my daughter didn't know what abortion was. She had no idea.
Well, to be fair,
So-
that's not a failure on you as a parent. Your daughter's 9 years old.
Yeah, right.
Don't feel bad there.
No,
Zach.
no.
It's not an L for you.
No, but I
actually a
explained. Well,
Yeah.
I explained
She's
to
in
her.
public school and she didn't know?
Your children should be spared from learning about things like this as long as possible.
Yes.
Like I would say, like when they start getting into high school, like you're a freshman in high
Yeah.
school.
Yep,
That's
I would
probably
agree.
about when I
Well-
start asking my parents questions. Like,
I'll tell you what.
Hey, I don't understand this thing about the world. I know I live in it, but this is the first
Yep.
time these things have actually started. Like, okay, I kind
Yep.
of understand
Yeah.
what's going on. Let me learn more.
Well, I'll tell you what. I brought this up against because I never thought I'd have to have this conversation with my 9-year-old, but I thought it was important that I did, not just because she said Joe Biden, but because
We're talking.
I wanted
reproductive
her
rights
to know.
as well, yeah.
And I wanted her to know that one, this is why children don't vote, is because they're so,
Personable.
yeah, they're so personable. They're so
Impressionable.
impressionable.
Yeah, that's what I meant, yeah.
They
Yeah.
take they take things at face value. And I
Joe
said-
Biden's ad had a catchy tune, and I liked it better than the
Yeah.
Trump one, so I like him.
Well, and so I told her, I said,
That's essentially it.
I said, do you want to know what he's actually saying about that? And she says, well, yeah. What exactly is that? And so I told her what abortion was, and she gave me, the weird look, like kind of shocked look, like what?
You
What?
don't want to kill babies, do you?
Yeah, I didn't do that. No, see, this was the thing. This was the thing. I made it very important. It was very important in my mind that I explain what abortion was extremely objectively.
like you were talking to a 9-year-old.
Correct. And completely objectively with no skew in my language. I didn't say, oh, they're killing babies. I didn't say that. I just explained exactly what it was. The medical procedure of eliminating the fetus out of the womb, out of the mommy's tummy is basically how I explained it. And, of course she gave me this and she says, oh, well, I don't like that. I don't like that idea. And I said, okay, well, see, again, this is why kids aren't allowed to vote, is because they don't know all of the answers. And so,
And I'm sure her friend probably didn't understand that
exactly.
I guarantee her friend didn't understand that,
Yep.
but all she heard was the Joe Biden is for women's rights. And
Yep.
she's thinking, well, I'm a woman. He's for my rights. Therefore, I like Joe Biden.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
you're too young to understand any of the
Exactly.
context that goes into that.
Exactly. And so I'm actually glad that, well, talk about it in these days. I'm glad that I had that conversation with my daughter versus the school having it with her first. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think that I'd have to talk to my 9-year-old daughter about it, but I'm glad that I did before the school got to. You know what I mean? That's just my thought on it. I don't know. Maybe some people listening, maybe they think it's a bad idea that I should even bring up abortion around my daughter. But at the same time, again, I just don't want other people instilling their worldviews into my daughter's head. And so when I can do it myself, I'm going to.
Yeah.
And it's going to be things that, we've talked about this. Basically ending the childhood of a child, or the innocence of childhood. I would be really upset if my daughter came to me and said, I don't think abortions are bad because someone taught her something in school. Then I have to play catch up and try to explain why I don't think it's bad and have her make that decision. A lot of times in kids, this is why I say be present. A lot of times with kids, if it comes from an authority figure of some sort, the first person that they hear talk about it is going to be the one that sticks with them. You know what I mean? And because they don't have that logical thinking yet. And so the first thing that's being told to them is probably the first thing that they're going to hold on to for most of their childhood.
Absolutely.
So,
growing up in my family's household, they were very Republican, I guess you would say.
Sure.
In terms of leanings politically. And that absolutely had a skew in my first few years, which were still years that I couldn't even vote.
Right.
And then the first time I could vote, I was 18 years old, but I was already in the military at this point.
Yeah.
And then my views were shifted a little bit from there. I mean, I still probably tend to be more Republican at that point.
Sure.
Now I'm out of the military, and I'm very much F the government as a whole, dude.
Right.
Like, none of these people are, everybody thinks that my side's looking out for everybody and this and that. And the further you go on in life, the more you realize none of these people are looking out for you, man.
No,
They're looking out for themselves.
Yeah.
That's how they got there.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're enriching themselves. They're getting they're where they're at because of their selfishness, man. A lot of the politicians of today are very narcissistic and crazy, and they're not really the people you want representing yourself. But the people you want to represent you aren't the people that want to go represent you. You know, that's just how it goes.
People that deserve power very seldom pursue it.
I think the greatest thing that happened to this country was George Washington, because he was one of those people. I feel like he was one of those people because gave up power. That was like unheard
willingly,
of.
Right?
He was the first to do it, and like he didn't want to be even president in the first place. Like I don't know. Just I think him being the father of America is like seriously like a big reason why this is such a great country.
I am a firm believer too that the only good politicians out there are the ones that don't become politicians because they don't want to be a politician.
Exactly. Yeah.
The only ones worth being politicians don't want to be.
I want to hand this phone so I'm on the Twitter a lot.
Okay, let me take a look.
I'm on the Twitter.
And there's
Twittersphere.
the X there, and there's a lot of good memes. And so that one, if you want to start
reading it.
You want
me to read it? Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. Imagine, so it's a picture of a needle. Oh, my eyes are jacked up. So it's a needle going into the belly of a mother where there is a...
Baby's mommy.
Yeah, where there's a baby inside. Okay.
Going right in that tummy.
Imagine being a semi-conscious fetus floating in oblivion when a needle comes out of nowhere and headshots you for the insta-kill because your mother would rather make PowerPoints for $60K a year than raise you. I know. I know. Yeah, I know. I was just laughing because it's kind of it was made to be kind of funny, but yeah, true.
Yeah.
There you go, man.
Very factual.
So, I don't know the federal abortion ban because my whole view on abortion is it's hard, right? I view it as wrong as murder. It's already, in my opinion, it should be wrong.
Are we gonna have this conversation?
We're gonna have this conversation right now with Colton.
Let's have it.
Colt would be here. Happy to be here for it.
But essentially, I also don't really view the government being able to legislate, unless it's just to like classify it already as murder. Like I feel like it's already covered. It just needs the cultural tag.
Well, I think people don't understand that. The whole argument that Christians are trying to take away women's rights, it's like, no, you're not looking at it through the right lens. If you look at it from the Christian standpoint, you are killing a person.
Right.
You are committing murder when you have an abortion.
Right.
In a Christian's mind. And I'm going to look at I'm talking about that. I am a Christian.
Sure.
But removing all of my bias, I guess, as it were, from it. It's like, if you look at it from the Christian lens, in a Christian's mind, if you get an abortion, you are murdering a child.
Mm-hmm.
People don't understand that. They think you can just, legislate it away. It's like, you understand that to a sect of the population, it doesn't matter what you say or do, you are killing a child, whether it's legal or not.
Well, that's where the big shift happened in society, I think, is they, instead of telling everybody that Christians believe that you're killing a human being, instead they just said Christians don't want women to have reproductive rights.
Right.
That and
which
that's
is a weird
where
thing
that
to say, because
is.
it's like they absolutely believe that everybody should be reproducing.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Absolutely.
Christians probably more than anybody else.
Well, and man, my thing is, you kind of nailed it on the head. For me, the whole abortion thing, my thought on it is, so I believe that life begins at conception.
Yeah.
Okay. And I believe that murder is, we've talked about the government overstepping and how we don't think that they should be able to overstep in our lives. Except that I think it's perfectly reasonable for the government to say, you shouldn't kill people. And so that's where my line comes in, is that, well, I believe that is a person. We can argue that.
Well, we can argue this. It's the same as the vaccine. Can the government mandate that you get a vaccine? No.
Right.
Should they mandate that you cannot or can have an abortion? Like either way, whether you're opposed to whatever they're supporting or not, it's why does the government have a say in this right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the question I would have then is, why does the government find it appropriate to tell people they can't murder others?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
that goes right back to it. It's like,
yeah, we can have the conversation of when life begins.
Of
yeah,
the country, though.
We can have that conversation. But many people that have this conversation never want to talk about when life begins. You know what I mean? When you talk about abortions and stuff,
pretty logical and commonsensical.
You would think.
If I am walking through the woods, let's say I'm going out on a hunting trip, and I find a clutch of birds' eggs on the ground, and I crush them.
Have they been fertilized yet?
And let's say that this clutch of eggs, unknowingly to me, but soon to be discovered by a DNR officer, belonged to an American bald eagle.
Okay.
I'm going to go to jail for killing however many eggs I crushed.
Right.
Those are eggs. Those aren't birds yet.
Well, have they been fertilized?
I don't know.
We're also talking about.
But per that law, it doesn't matter if they've been fertilized yet or not. I've destroyed the eggs.
Yeah. Well, and again, we can have that conversation too with human life versus animal life.
Right. Well,
because
all I'm saying
I do
here
think
is you can be charged with a crime for that, even though those eggs are not bald eagles yet.
Yeah.
It's the same as if you would have killed a bald eagle, because they had the potential to become bald eagles.
Right.
It's like, well, every fetus in every mother's womb has the potential to become a child.
Yeah.
And scientists find like a bacteria on Mars, and they're like, oh, might be evidence that there's life on Mars.
There was a.
No, it is evidence. It is evidence of life on Mars. If there's bacteria found, it's like, okay, well, that's life. That's life. We consider that life. Nobody yells at me for using my hand sanitizer that kills 99.9% of bacteria, though.
Right.
So they value that bacteria up on Mars better than,
exactly.
a human being. But they do. See, a lot of these people are tricked into like believing that they are what's wrong with this world. Like if you look at the climate change goal and like reproductive rights, including, feticide, I don't know how that's how that's like the cruelest trick they've ever pulled, is like including abortion as a reproductive.
Everyone says we wiped out the Nazi regime and that the Einsatzgruppen is no longer going around killing people. Meanwhile, we got like,
line up.
Now we got what do they call it? Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
And everything
Dude,
like that.
it's honestly, I think what a lot of this boils down to too is we've just become a very selfish country. We've become very selfish. We take for granted all of the freedoms that we have.
I don't want the burden of having a child when I could just not.
It's extremely selfish,
women,
and that fits into this whole transgenderism too.
And women in the workplace just doesn't work because men are also.
Whoa! Now we're getting
just to go back
We're
to
getting spicy.
your eagle point. Most birds do not lay unfertilized eggs.
Sure, most
take that.
right.
But no,
I
but
totally
my
understood
point was
the point.
check.
Yeah.
Boom.
But literally, that's a if you destroy a clutch of birds' eggs and say that bird is endangered or a protected species, it doesn't matter if
you've committed a crime.
actually you have committed a crime by
exactly.
destroying those eggs
No,
because
it's a perfect point.
They had the potential of becoming.
Why shouldn't
that
the same be for human life? Yeah, I get it. That's a good point. I think, like I said, going back to that, I'll restate it again. A lot of this stuff that we see happening nowadays is just because people have become selfish. It's all about me, we want this, and it's never about, what's better for my neighbor or what's better for, other people versus myself. And I think that is one of the biggest problems in our society is that if I think this, then you must think it.
Oh yeah.
That's
something that was that
how dare you be uninclusive?
Yeah. The
Well,
weird
it
projection
does-
that people have. But that one took me a hard time to break with the realization that like not everyone views these things as being common. My things that I'm like, oh yeah, duh.
Common sense isn't common.
Someone else might be like, oh, what do you mean? It's like, but it's something that comes so easy or natural to me,
Sure.
But yeah, that whole common sense is not common. Holy shit, man.
Yeah. Yeah, man. What have you seen? So let me ask you this. How many trans around here anyway? How many trans people have you seen? Colton, I'll ask you after.
Don't
yeah.
ask me. Right off the bat.
But, I mean,
around here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, in this local area? I mean, I don't go out much, man. I'll be honest. But like in my
Joey's settings are very specific. On
Joey likes to swipe right on them. Is that how that works? Swiping right?
He said he sees
Joey
a lot of them
swipes
on Tinder. Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, and that's where they're going to be. They're going to be freaks in the sheets, right? Isn't that how it works?
Well, okay, but
like,
I mean,
listen,
how many have you seen? Do you see any
like in public, just walking around?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I've seen one back in the day too, and that was before it was cool,
brother.
It was like a dude with his balls hanging out of his like jean shorts. You know what I'm saying?
There's a Taco Bell close to where I used to work at, and I frequented it during like lunchtime, and the window cashier was trans.
Sure.
Male to female.
I don't know what that means.
So a chick with a dick.
Okay. I know what that means.
No, a dude with tits.
Yeah, there you go. That one.
All right, I'm lost now.
Either way,
I don't know where
I don't
we're
know
at.
if
I don't know what side's up.
I have a light mortars tattoo on my arm, and one day I rolled up, and they're like, "Oh, I like your tattoo. It's whatever symbol." I'm like, "It's what?" And they're like, "Yeah, whatever." It wasn't trans, but it was something
asexual
else.
or
something. It was one of the 77,000 genders.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What?" And I'm like, "No, that's light mortars. I was an infantryman. I used to kill people." I was just so mad by the insinuation.
You should have said you're welcome for your freedom.
No, I don't feel that way at all about it anymore. You're welcome for my cervix. I mean service. But it was just like, nice person. Never have any.
Well, that's
shit.
the
But
thing.
it was still.
Dude,
I'm in Madison, and I see a lot of it, and it was
I've
just
seen more in Madison than I have
quite a
here.
bit, quite a few.
Let me ask you. I think I know the answer here, but does it honestly bother you seeing them, or does it bother you more that they just want you to accept their cause?
Well, I don't know which. I mean,
depends,
What I'm trying to
depends on
say
the
is
individual, I think, because seeing a transgender person doesn't infuriate. And let's be honest, it's very easy to spot them. It's not like it's some.
Yes.
What?
It's not like we're like we're in Thailand, or it's not like
what do
we're
you mean?
in.
What do you mean? Female, I'm throwing up quotes, with shoulder-length hair and a fucking beard, and a bulge in your jeans. You know, it's like, what do you mean you're not a female? It's not. It's more so just like the.
Yeah. And they talk like this.
It's just
It's ma'am.
It's just that you will accept that this person is a female. It's like, No. I'm not going to sit there and
Exactly.
badmouth them to their face. I'm cordial with everybody I come in contact. I try to show everybody a level of respect
And
that I hope to receive.
And that's 100% the thing. So I feel like a majority of people are like that.
Yeah.
What I think you may be conflating your stuff is with social media. So like social media is so prominent that you're seeing all the trans community
that's why.
so deep,
that's why I'm trying to break it
where
down.
you're a normal person.
Right.
You know,
not
you
as
talk
common.
about the stereotypes behind a Christian on social media and how they hate your guts, whereas your normal one probably not so much. And I feel like it's probably the same for
and
your
that's
trans
why
person.
and that's why I wanted to bring it into like more local to us. I've seen trans people walking around. I don't care. I mean, I'm going to be watching to see if they go into the same bathroom as my daughter.
My kids are asking questions, by the way.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. And so
because like I've seen them in like Rockford.
Yeah.
Oh, and your children are homeschooled, so I'm sure that's much more of a culture shock to them. Like, oh, that's not a clear-cut woman or
my
man.
kids are very much like, I don't think that's okay for them to be doing
your kids
what
are
they're doing.
your kids are the memes that are like me seeing a person missing a leg for the first time, and they're just doing like the piercing stare from across the room.
Yep. Yeah, man.
Man.
But
I'll tell you.
that's normal. That's normal.
Yes.
That is what's the word? Curiosity. That is normal child curiosity. Like that's something I've never seen before.
It's organic. That's what it is.
It's absolutely.
And
if you see something that you've never seen before, you are going to stare because you're curious and you're trying to understand what you're seeing.
Right.
Yep.
And that organic reaction, I feel like, is real credence to what they're trying to do.
Well, and again, I think I'll go back to it. I think that if you want to do, I'm very kind of libertarian in this mindset, which is do whatever you want to do behind closed doors or even in public, as long as it's not affecting me or my family that I'm out with. Go ahead, do whatever, call yourself whatever you want. But it's the moment that you start trying to push your ideals on my children, or you start trying to push your ideals on me even, that's when I have the problem with it.
Well, it's like, the libertarian mascot is the hedgehog. Because, like the Democrats, I forget, I think Democrats are the donkey and the Republicans are the elephant. The hedgehog was chosen specifically because by nature, a hedgehog is an entirely defensive creature.
Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't do anything to attack anything that lives around it. It is very much they're like, oh, it can be dangerous because it's got the spikes, but those spikes are only dangerous if you wish to do harm to that hedgehog.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the reasoning is, I think a lot of libertarians have come to the point where, like, leave me alone. But if you don't leave me alone and you keep trying to push into my life and encroach on it in ways that you're not meant to, you're going to get hurt.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
And that's the rise of the right, and I'm putting some air quotes up, that they're afraid of.
And most libertarians tend to be more centrist.
That's what, and that's what I mean.
Yeah.
They made everybody who was a centrist into the right. We're now all
not only the right,
what I mean?
but you're the alt right. You're the right wing. You're a right wing.
This whole
you might
shift,
as well be Adolf.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This whole shift, you're absolutely right. The whole scale has moved almost all the way to the left. So if you were in the center now, you're way right now.
Yep. And the left doesn't leave you like that's why conservatives and Republicans, like the whole uniparty establishment thing, like the Republicans in that camp, like I don't feel like even they understood or understand what's happening right now, because it's like they're getting the whole communist side is taking over, right? And it's just kicking them out. So like the ones that fight, there's like 5 or 10 of them, right? There's very few actual good politicians doing anything, and they can't really get a whole lot done because there's
Kent from Washington State. He's pretty solid.
I like him.
I've been following him since his grassroots campaign.
Yeah, same.
I learned about him on Drinking Bros,
because
he was podcast I listened to.
He was a vet, right? I mean, that's he was good shit, man.
I learned about him on Drinking Bros, another podcast that I listened to, and I started looking into him. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Let's hope this grassroots politician. It's the same as I'm following. Oh man, I can't remember his name. AK Jesus.
Okay.
The YouTuber. What's his?
Brendan Herrera.
Brandon Herrera. Yeah, he's
Texas,
running,
right?
Yeah, he's running in Texas right now, and I'm following him closely. Like I'm really hoping to see some.
Dude, anymore? There's like, because I don't donate to politicians or anything, but there's a couple of these local campaigns. Like my dad's running one, so like I helped him out a little bit. I feel like and the guy's good, and he's running against Rhino. Like they're replacing people that don't have people's interests in their heart. You know what I mean?
Should be running against Dan Crenshaw.
I think people are like Texas might be nuts, man. What
Texas is going to be a blue state if this keeps on the way it's been.
No, I'm saying there's a bunch of populist candidates running for stuff because of the whole Ken Paxton thing. That blew up on them because that didn't go the way they wanted it to. So all those people now are being primaried. All those people that tried to get rid of Ken, because Ken Paxton's the only Attorney General Republican that's doing anything. Like the only one.
If you needed any proof that neither of these parties are looking out for your best interest, you know, it's the same with the TikTok ban.
Yeah.
There was that, I can't even remember his name, and I don't care to remember it or actually find his name and bring it up on here, but I think he's a congressman that was voted in basically based off his entire grassroots campaign on specifically TikTok. Like he campaigned via TikTok.
Okay.
Got himself in. And then he turned around and he was part of the and he was in support of the TikTok ban, and everyone's like, how weird that you would get elected. And it's like, who's talking in your ear now that suddenly you turned your back on TikTok? You said it was such a great thing. You know, it's a way for people to learn news about things without any control over the media whatsoever. You know, it's a completely independent, you know, category, and you're here like, oh, let's ban it. Like, okay, who's talking in your ear now?
Well, exactly, man. And most people, libertarians especially, have like PTSD from them doing any sort of law legislation on anything. They're like, no anymore, because it's like, even if it's a good bill, they're like, no. Like,
well, it's just like,
I don't know, like, what are you going to use that
everyone's
for?
Talking about the how the U.S. is going to pay to replace that bridge that went down in Maryland. How taxpayer dollars, we're going to completely fund it, and everyone's like, like, I can't wait for the Maryland Build Bridge Back Better bill that has $3 trillion going to Ukraine and Israel, and absolutely $0 actually going to the bridge rebuilt.
Right.
Because that's how it always
like
ends up.
$100K, you know, for
it'll be the super awesome, totally cool bridge bill with $0 going to the bridge and $100 billion going to Ukraine and Israel and every other country.
That's what I'm saying. Isn't the tanker from Singapore?
It was a Dutch ship that was flying a Singaporean flag, which I don't know how that works out. Maybe they picked up in Singapore. However it works. Yes. But either way, it's regardless. It's like, how are we going to... And it was like, everyone was just upset because they're like, why did Biden just say, we'll pay for it ourselves? And it's like, why are you so willing to just stick it to the taxpayer and say it's going to be your money? Because it's like,
that's what,
name me a year in the last... I don't know, how many years has the U.S. existed? 250 years about at this point? How many years have we existed that we have been in a budget deficit?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
How many years have taxes decreased? Taxes have only ever increased, and our spending has never decreased.
Yep.
It's like we keep electing these people that are so quick to spend the money and at a ridiculous rate.
Even Trump was spending money.
Oh, no. I mean,
it's crazy.
Was the economy better under Trump?
Well,
inflation was down, absolutely, and things weren't so ridiculous, but we were still recklessly spending money.
Yeah. But the economy, the whole point, I think, to that was it was a surge of money spending, and then we should start seeing a return, because he had to fix all the bull crap. And
I'm not even going to excuse it, because that excuse gets used every administration that comes up that spends a ridiculous...
Right.
Well, and this all goes back to Bush anyway. Us getting into Iraq and Afghanistan, man, we don't have the money to pay for this war. Let's print a bunch of money. And inflation has never recovered.
It was even worse than that. It was... Guys, the Pentagon, they've noticed the Pentagon deficit.
Yeah.
We got to pull that trigger now.
The Pentagon, we can't account for $3 trillion.
Yeah. And now it's a common sense. It happens all the time.
Yep.
The Pentagon budget's been off since then. It's always been. And everybody's just like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
No.
Please don't fly any
where
buildings.
Is that money
Please
going?
Don't fly any buildings into our towers. We'll just be okay with it now.
Like, do people not realize that means that all that money went towards things that
none of us
probably
know about,
illegal as all hell. Like
all these civil wars,
interest.
Civil wars we're talking about, like Syria and the South America. We talked about Kissinger when he passed away. Rest in hell, anyways.
Yes, rest in hell, Kissinger.
But it's just like the thing. It's that guy. It's like all these civil wars and all this unrest we talk about in the world, and then it's like, you really don't want to follow the paper trail back to figure out what caused all that, because guess what? We can look right over to the east at D.C. and find, that's why this happened.
Right.
And it's sad to say that, but we keep putting these people in power, and we keep leaving them in power, and we keep just, it's almost like, well, life's good here. It's good enough here. You know, it's like
we keep telling ourselves that as it gets worse and worse and worse.
We have absolutely fallen into the status quo.
Well, like, all right, I just want to bring up, after Trump got elected, the economy started getting really good. COVID happened, right? But like our gas and everything was super affordable, and it made everything
as
else
much
cheaper.
as we've been badmouthing Madison. I filled up my tank at 89 cents a gallon one time in Madison. I think I spent $15 and filled my tank on my truck.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
correct
crazy.
me if I'm wrong. He started drilling here.
Yes.
Or we already had the drills, but we started using our own reserves, our own oil.
Well, not our
We
reserves.
didn't use our reserves.
We
That was
refilled
actually
our
Biden. We
reserves.
refilled our reserves.
Yeah.
And we intended to.
Right.
Intended to complete the XL pipeline, which was, I believe, through
Canada,
essentially the Midwest,
pretty much.
Yeah.
Canada through the Midwest.
So
so we were using our own
But-
oil. That's
Yeah.
my
before
point.
he got elected, like the Obama economy sucked. If you had a truck, I know
I wouldn't
the gas
have had a
was
truck.
horrible.
Why do you think GM Janesville?
Exactly.
That massive GM Janesville plant. Everyone wonders,
Dude,
like, why did
man.
they close down Janesville?
Oh.
It's like, well, everyone says it's because it's an old plant, which it
No.
was.
Well,
at the
it
time,
was.
At the time, that plant was building the
It was an
Suburbans.
SUV. Yeah, it was all the SUVs.
Suburbans, Tahoes, and pickup trucks. And it was like, well, let's see, gas is $5 a gallon.
Yeah.
People aren't buying pickup trucks right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of
And-
made sense where they were going to cut their corners and get rid of a
And
business.
that didn't just the people at GM didn't just lose.
Oh
their
no,
jobs. You had
my
Lear
uncle,
and all those other people.
I was just gonna say, my uncle worked at Lear. He made
Yep.
the toppers, and I believe they also made the seats for the inside of the vehicles. He lost his job just as well, and not just Lear, but countless
Tons of
other
them. All these
countless
vendors that were
businesses
doing
around
little,
there.
Oh, I'll tell
little
you,
things that they were contributing to.
that plant shutting down. I mean, talk about crippling an economy.
You crippled Janesville's economy by
Yeah.
far, but
Well,
I mean,
and
but
Got a
think
lot
about-
of heroin addicts out of it.
well, think about Detroit too. I mean, let's not forget about
Yes.
Detroit.
Yes.
But
Yep.
Janesville now, you're seeing it where that side of town has nothing going up in it.
No.
Everything's just leaving. The only things that are coming up are these
the only
little
thing over there is that golf course next to the Janesville plant. It feels like anymore.
Well, you know what that's all
There
going
used
to
to
turn
be
into?
how many other shops over there? You don't see nothing on that side
golf
of town
course.
anymore.
Oh, yeah, the golf course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because all the stores are leaving
I'm
to
sorry,
the
that's
newer
that's
side of
literally
town.
the only business I can think of on that side
Yeah,
of town
well,
anymore is the
that
golf
But the
side of
same
town,
thing
yeah,
happened in
I mean-
Beloit.
Yeah.
yeah.
Same thing happens to all these towns, and guess what happens? Those neighborhoods turn to crap, man.
Yep.
And they just don't care about
You
it.
ever noticed how much hell Diane Hendricks catches in Beloit here?
Yeah.
Does it blow your guys' mind like it does mine?
Yeah.
With how much money she puts into our local economy,
Tons.
how much hate she gets. Like, she's
I'll
just a
tell ya.
billionaire gentrifier. I'm like, well, you guys complain, but you'll go to these businesses and,
Yep.
and you'll
Right.
enjoy
Yep.
them because it's like, wow, it's she's putting in that.
She's a savior. At
She's
Beloit,
taking
man.
the Beloit Iron Works and she's turning it into a. It's going to be a bowling alley, mini golf.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a cool place to take your kids, essentially.
Yeah.
Yep.
And everyone,
Cool
I've
place
seen
just
people
to hang out. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, well, what else are they doing with that empty business that's doing nothing except sitting there as an eyesore on the river?
Yeah. Well, it's interest groups that get pushed. They push out activism or ads against. There's obviously
She
there's a bunch
funded the building of the Ken Hendricks Memorial Bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
When the
It's
only
unreal
thing she
'cause
asked for is name it after my late husband.
there was something with her because Ken Hendricks was he was the like a scumlord of Beloit, right?
Was he?
Yeah.
Ken Hendricks.
I didn't know anything. All I know
that's kinda
about
how
Ken
he-
Hendricks was he was the founder of ABC Supply. That's the only thing I knew about him.
But he was doing, a lot of that area over there. He was the one turning these big houses into 2 units,
Sure,
and,
okay.
doing that. He was kind of
Well, he was a property developer.
Right.
And which is
But there
only
was-
continued under Diane Hendricks because,
Yep.
I mean, shoot, even that group I volunteered for,
I'd say
Oscar
more
Mike
quality,
Foundation.
though.
Well, yeah. Even that group we volunteer with, Oscar Mike Foundation, the founder just got married, and
Okay.
his wife sits on the board of Hendricks Properties.
Okay.
And that's what they do. She's probably taking part in the development of that new business downtown.
And that was all. I know that was something that Ken was wanting to do before his death. was kind of repay back, like, because he kind of had like what I heard was, it was like a guilty thing that he had felt, and he wanted to.
Well, he made his money, and now he's like, well, now I'm going to give.
He wanted to reinvest it.
Sure.
So it sounded like one of those people that actually, a good person that made money was doing something good for the community.
I will have nothing bad to say about the Hendricks family because they've donated how much money to the public school system here in Beloit.
Exactly.
They've donated how much to the city of Beloit. Once again, that bridge, Ken Hendricks Memorial Bridge,
well, I don't
was
know
funded
how much,
almost entirely by them.
I don't know how much they gave to. I know they've given money to the school district of Beloit, but now they've started their own charter school or their own private school.
Yeah, which is causing the school district of Beloit a lot of trouble.
Yeah. but at the same time, I am not gonna take away from her and trying to make this city better.
Yeah,
because
that's what I don't understand about it. Is
because
people want to just hate her so bad for being a billionaire.
That's exactly.
But it's
it.
like you don't hate Oprah.
Yeah,
and she's a billionaire.
Well, that was kind of the credence. That was kind of the credence I was
mean?
given. That it was her husband's image, and like where someone could have just taken that money and just been selfish with it and done other things. She's kind of maintained that vision of like, I'm going to reinvest.
She
in this
could sell her
community.
company right now, and she'd become the richest woman in America.
Oh,
you guys ever seen Ozark?
Yes.
Netflix?
Actually, I just got Netflix to.
How much?
I am going to start. I haven't watched it yet, but I got Netflix.
How much of these businesses are going up just so she can launder money for something? Sometimes I wonder, but at the same time, I do think that it's in general. I think that it's a good thing, especially for this city because it gets such a bad rap around here.
This city was on the decline.
Oh, 100%,
big time. When we first started growing up in Beloit, this city it felt like a slum. I mean, we lived on a decent side of town. Like, don't get me wrong. It was pretty good over here, but there were parts of this town that it's like, don't go over by Switch Track. You don't want to go over by Switch Track.
Well, that's still the thing.
Right, that is still a thing. But it's getting better throughout the city. And there's more business and there's more industry coming because you have Diane Hendricks investing so much in this community, and it's like, well, obviously this community is not going to fail.
Actually, I'll tell you too. When we lived over by the college, there were a lot of houses that were chopped up into the 4 or 5, apartment, big, beautiful houses. Now you're starting to see that people are starting to buy those, and they're starting to rehab them into one unit.
They're awesome houses, man. Some of those frames are so
gorgeous
old
houses.
Too.
These old Victorian houses in this town that are like
awesome.
Late 1800, early 1900 era houses.
Yeah.
They're gorgeous.
Yep.
And they were left to decay for a long time. And they looked awful. But then you start to see some of the ones that are actually getting revamped by people that care buying them and moving into them, and it's like, dude, what a gorgeous house.
So I worked at one of the factories in town, and there was a lady that I worked with. She's older, and she grew up here all her life, and she's like, they used to do parades and there's flags, and this used to be like it was like awarded like one of the most American cities in the U.S.
Wisconsin, or Beloit,
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Like it was super patriotic and everything.
Oh yeah,
there was tons of
we had
the
Beloit
Ironworks. You had the ironworks. You had
Fairbanks Morse.
Fairbanks Morse defense contractor. Like it was a huge.
I mean, Fairbanks Morse is still here, but anymore it's I don't think it's defense.
So much
trains.
Smaller. I mean, ABC owns probably 90% of what Fairbanks used to be.
Yeah,
I'd say.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, that whole area. Because my dad working there, that was kind of cool back in the day, going through that whole area with those big giant cranes.
I mean, even still in the town, it's like
motors,
look at this piston that's the size of your car. It's like, what is that for? That's off of this is going in a battleship.
Right?
Like, whoa.
Yep. Yeah,
nuclear submarine engines.
I think you hit it on the head when you said that people just because she comes from money, they automatically think that she has bad intentions of some sort or she's trying to take advantage of people. And it doesn't make any sense to me because I mean, people love to go after these people that are super rich just because they're in the limelight. And it's like,
you know what? I'd like to see any of those people that go after the rich hit the lottery for $1 billion.
Oh, 100%. Well, they'd be bankrupt. I mean, statistically.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like,
oh yeah.
All right, let's see it.
Yep.
What are you going to give back to your community?
Exactly.
How are you going to fix it then?
Exactly.
You got the money, you got the liquid now. What are you going to do?
Yep. Don't you dare try to
Or are you going to go
buy
buy yourself the most expensive car you can and go buy a mansion somewhere and squander that wealth within 10 years?
Don't let me see you try to give back to the community by building a nice rec center for the community.
Right.
You better not do it,
Right.
It is infuriating.
I'd like to see I would. I don't know that I would. Beloit definitely. If I'm living in Madison, like I said, but if I hit the lotto, it'd be like I'm absolutely coming back to my roots here in Beloit because I'm more likely to be a property owner down here, like land wise.
Right.
But
and she inherited that money and even a reputation for like being a horrible person. But I feel like
because everybody wanted to say that. Wow, it's pretty suspicious how her husband died. It's like, well, if she wanted to kill her husband and take his wealth, she did that. But then she didn't have to turn around and give so much back to the community.
You would have expected her to turn into a real POS.
No, I would expect her to disappear. I'd expect her to sell out ABC to supply to the highest bidder.
She's in Florida somewhere. You never hear from her ever again. But then you look at someone who gold dug her way into the billions and millions. And what's her name?
You got to be more specific.
Sorry,
Oprah?
I'm not asking you.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Talking to Joey.
Bezos'
ex-wife, Mackenzie Scott. All right. So this chick got all that money through capitalism, through her husband, founding all these.
How much was it? It was quite a bit. It was multiple billions of dollars.
Right there. She parted ways with Bezos in 2019 with a jaw-dropping $38.3 billion in Amazon stock.
And that's just in stock. I'm sure there's also other things.
Yeah. This woman divorced her way into being a billionaire.
Dude, she handed out $16.5 billion of her fortune to groups she and her team researched and selected. And in December 2022, she launched a database for her charity under the name Yield Giving.
And that thing actually breaks out in like a bar graph of like where all the money went to, and a bunch of the money is towards social justice causes and racism, which are
classic
communism,
classic liberal white woman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nobody argues harder
right
for a cause that nobody wants to get behind than a liberal white woman who has nothing to do with the cause that they're supporting,
or has any idea what any of it does at all. God, these women are destroying our world.
This Black Lives Matter thing in Madison, 90% of that crowd was just like 20 to 23-year-old white college girls. I'm like,
yep.
What are we doing?
It generally is.
Get off the belt line! Get out of my way! That was me. Get off.
Wait, did they do something recently?
No, it was right in the middle of that.
Ago?
It was
okay.
Shutting down John Nolan Drive for a protest march. I remember like coming down John Nolan Drive on the end of my day, trying to leave, go home, get back to the shop for work, and I'm like, why can't I go anywhere? And there's a protest up here. I'm like, oh my God! And then I like go the other way. They're also marching down the belt line right now. Oh my God! I can't get out of here. I'm trapped in the middle of this hell. Like,
crazy. That's insane.
Oh, they're horrible.
Like, do I regret buying a house in Madison? Absolutely.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. I think a lot of this stuff that we're talking about, especially with Diane Hendricks putting so much into the community and people getting upset with her just because she's rich. People have just become so much more selfish nowadays. I think that's a lot of the problems that we have. Yeah.
Right.
Jealousy, selfishness, all of these things to serve ourselves. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
100%.
It's all self-serving. It's never anything else.
Nobody does anything selfless anymore.
No. And if they do...
the people that are claiming to be selfless and like, I'm doing this for everyone, it's like...
Okay, do it when there's not a camera in your face.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, man. If you're not someone who can just do what's right when no one's looking, then shut the hell up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think
we
that's
talk
why...
about this a lot. Like, what do you think about being a good person in this country? It's like, dude, look out for your neighbors. Yeah. Your neighbor needs a hand with something, go help them.
Yep.
Without them asking you. You see your neighbor working on something? Hey, you need a hand? Go help them. Take care of those around you first.
Yep.
First and foremost, just be a good person to the people around you. Don't need to call WIFR, whoever news, to come do a story on you.
Right.
100%.
Yeah, dude,
but you have to film it, though.
Yeah.
Don't help your neighbor without filming
something
it.
crazy.
I'm going to give this homeless man $10,000, but I'm going to make sure every camera catches it.
Right.
Yep.
But, man, I saw my neighbor. He was building a deck. I'm, hey, man, how's it going? How much does that lumber cost? You need a hand? Oh, you got your father-in-law over there helping you? Cool. Yeah. All right, man. Well, if you need anything, I'm here.
Yep.
Like...
I got a miter saw in the garage if you need it. Something.
Dude, you see, I'm trying to think of even something just even real practical. Like you see someone struggling carrying something into their garage or something.
Just the
across
other day,
the street. Just go.
Just the other day, I was leaving. We got a Metro Market grocery store around the corner from us. Which I prefer Woodman's, but whatever.
Metro Market.
Anyways. Old lady, grandma. Lady's probably 80 years old, pushing her carts out to her car. I went and pushed her car out to her car for her and loaded her trunk for her.
Yeah.
Dude,
I'm sure no one's doing that. She was probably like, did she hand you her purse after?
No, but you know what I mean? It just felt like, and she was so shocked when I offered to help her. And I'm like, does nobody offer to help you around here?
So you're probably the first.
It blows my mind because growing up as a kid in Beloit, I mean, I was a shithead kid.
Oh yeah, well,
I can admit
we
that.
all were.
I can admit that. I was a little shithead.
No, Colton was pretty bad.
Joey can attest. But we never just were disrespectful to people. We used to get snowstorms, and you used to think like, let's go make a bunch of money shoveling out driveways. We used to go to the old folks that lived around us. I mean, I lived in my neighborhood. I was easily the youngest person in my neighborhood.
Yep.
And we just go clean out their driveways for them. Don't ask for nothing. You'd get paid anyway, which as a kid, low key jealous, or not jealous. You knew. They were going to offer you some money. You're going to get paid, but you never asked for it. You just went and did it, and then, maybe they hand you a $20 bill in the end of it, and you're like, awesome.
Yep.
But even if you didn't, it was like, whatever, let's go to the next one.
Yep.
It was just like, Mr. Nelson's 90 years old, and he's in a wheelchair. He's not cleaning out his driveway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'll go clean out his driveway for him.
Honestly, there's one of the things that stick out in my mind was we were at Walmart here in town, and this old man, he was obviously having a really hard time walking. He was behind the cart, and he was really trying to hold on to that cart, make sure he wasn't going to.
He probably just about needed something to hold.
Yeah.
He's probably using it to hold himself up.
And he couldn't walk very well at all. And two people, a woman in her car was getting into her car. Another person, he was putting groceries into his trunk. This man is struggling walking, and the cart gets away from him, and he falls right on his face. He's got blood on his knee and the knee of his jeans. Right, I kid you not. The woman looked over, was halfway in her car, and just got back in her car, closed the door. And then I saw the man putting his groceries in. He looked over, saw the dude on the ground, and was like, "Oh, you good?" And
you good?
Yeah.
Go help him.
You good,
man?
Dude, so that was my immediate thing. I went over there and at least helped this guy up, and then he's like, "Oh yeah," I saw him kind of wandering out into the parking lot because I asked him. I said, "Are you okay? Do you need me to call anybody?" And he's like, "No, I'm good." And then I start seeing him wandering out into the parking lot, and then he stops and starts looking around like he can't find his vehicle. So I'm like, "Oh man, I wonder." Maybe he's got Alzheimer's or something,
right.
And so I helped him to his truck.
Nobody has an empathetic heart anymore.
Dude, it's insane.
And that's why I'm so glad my mom lives at home with it was my grandparents. My grandma passed away, but still my grandpa, because I can't imagine him doing stuff like that. He can hardly get around without a walker.
Yep.
And I know if he was at a store, he'd be using that cart the same way the guy you were describing was, trying to... He'd be holding himself up with that cart as much as he was pushing that cart. And I just know if he had a spill or something, how many people would walk by before somebody helped him up?
100%. It's really, really sad, especially these days. Again, we're talking about the self-serving.
Nobody cares about anything else.
No.
If it doesn't affect me, it doesn't affect me.
I was up in Madison a year ago when we had those crappy snowstorms, and Madison decided, we know it's going to snow like 9 inches, but we're not gonna
do anything for the roads. Yeah,
we're not gonna prepare the roads at all. I ended up getting stuck in my van, and there was a guy in front of me that also got stuck. This is downtown Madison, right next to the Capitol building. Mm-hmm. No one helped me. I managed to get unstuck, and I was stuck for 10, 15 minutes, and there's a guy in a sedan in front of me stuck for probably longer than I was. And I'm like, all right, let me fix myself. And then
get somewhere where I'm not going to get stuck if I stop.
Exactly. And then I'm still watching the surrounding area, and people are like walking past him, not helping him, don't care. And I got out of my van and pushed him out. And it was like, dude, that took me like 30 seconds.
And it doesn't, he gives you a wave out the back window or something. Yeah. Who
Mm-hmm.
cares?
It
You're
doesn't
not getting
need
paid.
to be much.
But
yeah, well, the dude was
how many times did we do that in high school, Joey? Somebody gets stuck in their car in the snow in front of us. You just hop out of the car. You're stuck behind them at the stop sign. Yeah. You don't drive around them. You get out of your car and you help the three of you that are there. Give them a push, get them going, and then you go on about your day.
Yeah, that dude was like, "Oh, thank God!" Like I was running late to work. Like I don't know if I was going to be able to get there. And it's like, yeah, well now you can. So congratulations.
Low key, he's kind of pissed.
Yeah,
he's
he's like, son of a.
I already threw it in for the day, man.
No, I would have been mad. I would have been mad if I was on my way to work and I wasn't late. I'd have been like, I drove through this to get here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
man.
hate snowstorms, man. But they're fun.
Sometimes.
You know?
If
The
don't-
first
if you don't
couple
Hey,
are
man, they
fun.
really make you feel like alive, you know? Like your
The fir-
mortality is really evident in some of
when
them.
when you're shoveling out there, you're like, oh man, my heart's
My
really
heart's
good.
beating really fast.
No.
This isn't good.
I like the game we all play here in the Midwest, which is Am I Still on the Road?
Yeah.
That's always a fun
yeah.
one.
Coming down the interstate. If the
Oh,
interstate,
man.
if you can't see the lanes on the interstate, you know you're in trouble.
Well,
Yeah.
I frequently have to go up past the airport between Beloit and Janesville here.
It's a bad spot.
And the wind, when the wind
Yeah.
is bad, you cannot see the lines.
No.
Especially if it's powder, it's just blowing it right across and there's just a sheet of white.
there's like 6-foot drifts in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
right on the
Yeah.
front.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy. But I think, I don't know, man. Where do you want to go with this? The selfish.
It sounds like we went from talking about the trans to
Yeah, we kinda touched
to
a lot of stuff
billionaires
today. It
to
was a good
just
one.
being a good person. Take
Yeah.
care of those around
Be
you.
a good person. Take care of your kids. Take care of your neighbors. You know,
We
if
can
you see
probably-
that guy out in the street stuck,
Take care
get
of
out
the,
and push him,
take
man.
care of the train.
We can.
Take care of the trannies. You know, we gotta hit the button.
No, I'm scared to now. Whatever.
No, that's the one I want you to hit.
Oh,
not the one I was talking
it
about.
worked. It worked. Hit it. Let's hear it.
No.
I forgot what it sounds like.
Insert P Diddy leaked audio. Yeah.
It's okay. That was a good episode. But yes, like you said,
Yeah, I think
be a good neighbor.
we can break down into like the more of the transgenderism stuff because we plan on having a mental health episode.
I thought you were going to say you were planning on having like a mentally impaired person on the show or something.
No, no.
Well, that's just
mean,
that's just a euphemism for a
Maybe
Yeah, we
you'll
use
have to listen.
euphemism for someone transgender.
What's Shane Gillis doing these days? Maybe we can get him on our lowly podcast.
That'd be cool.
Yo, my boss,
right.
Maybe we
my,
can get Diane Hendricks now.
My old boss went to see him in person, and he's like, "Dude, was not funny."
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
and I was curious. I'm like, he must not have did any of the specials that I watched, like type comedy. But they're like, he just like picked a topic, like he's like something about like obviously joking, but like almost like pedophilic type jokes of like his like little niece or whatever, and he's like, yeah, it just wasn't funny, man. It just
Weird.
it took a weird role, and it was like,
He's-
oh, okay.
He's probably
I
trying
mean, that
to
may
break
be
the Trump
subjective though too. You know,
What's that?
That might be subjective with your old
Could
boss.
be.
Like you know,
That's true.
He did
but
fire
no,
you, so like,
yeah, right.
fuck
so
him.
he doesn't listen to your guys' podcast, so yeah. No, he was a good boss. I'm not even going to talk about Chuck badly
okay.
because he was good. I'm pretty certain that his decision to fire me was not his own.
Oh, okay.
Because he's very much like, dude, if you need any help, like references, anything.
Oh,
I
okay. Now I
Okay.
feel bad.
He's like, he's a good dude, and he's like, and the first thing
That's
he said, he's
right,
like, I
that's
still consider us friends. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me if you need anything,
Oh.
references for
Yeah.
work, anything. Please hit me up. He's like, just yes.
please don't start a shotgun.
Oh yeah,
God.
did I tell you about?
Jesus.
Did I tell you? No. I made a lot of jokes about Remington retirement plans after getting fired, and he still listens to our podcast. So he's like,
Oh,
"Hey,
that's awesome.
I just have to check. You're not like serious or nothing, right?" He's like, "Good," because he's like, "I'd feel awful," and he's like, "Just reach out if you need anything."
That's fine.
He's a good.
Well,
dude.
I mean,
he is a good dude. He is very close with his family yet. Very, very good people.
Yeah,
So-
that's cool. And I will say too, like, anymore, like I found a chain of good bosses lately, and
Yeah.
I've got some now. It's like last time they had to do kind of like a mass firing deal. They took days off because they were like that was hard. Like they knew what they had to do. They knew what they were doing, but it was like it took a toll on
It
them.
hurts.
Are they
Yeah.
the same
Well,
ones
especially
that,
if you actually have a good relationship with
Yeah.
the people you're working. It's like
Exactly.
that hurts. You're like
Yeah, you
you're
personally know
literally
these guys,
You're
you know.
literally firing your friends.
Exactly.
And it's
Yeah.
are they
That's
the
not
same
cool.
ones that hire those people as well?
There's like a whole recruiting deal that's separate from them, but like they kind of get a final say. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they get a final.
Yeah, because that's
interview.
one thing that I've found. The jobs that I've worked where I did not I just interviewed with the HR department and not the actual managers themselves. The managers that hire you and directly oversee you and supervise you are usually the ones that are the better bosses. For the most, obviously, there's bad apples out
And
there.
that was this last job.
But,
That
yeah.
boss that let me go. He was also the one
that
when
did your
when I
interview
came and interviewed, I interviewed with him directly.
Yep.
It wasn't like it was a very informal interview. It's like, hey,
super informal for mine as well.
Well, he's a superintendent on a job site. Come at lunchtime.
Yep.
We'll go to the restaurant across the street from the job site. We'll
So
get
what do you
lunch
like
over
to
there,
do?
so I can go to I can go to work after that, and you can come over and see what the job site looks like,
Okay.
and then we'll go from there.
Right.
That's the best way to do it, honestly. I mean, I don't think there's good HR reps out there, maybe few and far between.
It's
but
very far removed from the actual work, though.
Right.
There's the
some
problem.
You
That's-
can tell though. There's
that
some
should be-
recruiters that like they're cool, you know, like, and you almost hit it off with them right away. You're like, oh man, why aren't you like the hiring manager? Because
Yeah.
I would have had the job, you know,
Right.
in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
But-
I think it should be that anybody that's going to be in a supervisory role, they should be in the
final
hiring
say,
direct directly affecting the hiring process
Yeah.
for the employees that they supervise. Because honestly, if you trust the way I look at it is if you trust someone to supervise other people, they obviously have a style in which that they do it that they're going to find the most effective people to be able to carry out what their objective is.
Sure.
You know? And so that's and on top of that, when you do have to fire somebody for whatever reason, they're not going to do it just because you ticked them off one day, because that's going to reflect on them poorly as well.
Right.
When they have to fire the person that they directly hired, it gives them accountability too.
Their
It
judgment,
forces,
like what's wrong with your judgment?
yeah,
now?
it forces accountability on them. You know, you
Right.
hired this person. Why didn't he work out? You
Yep.
know?
Yeah, it's kind of like when you recommend a friend to a job and then they
Yeah.
take it and then like
They don't even go to the
screw it
interview.
over. Yeah, they just like,
just like thanks,
Yeah.
dude.
it's like thanks, man.
Thanks. I appreciate you.
Yep.
You
dragging
blowing up-
my name
you-
through the mud.
Yeah,
there, guy.
thank you.
I still have to be
talked,
working with these
I talked about you very highly to the supervisor that was supposed to interview you, and you just
Yeah.
absolutely ghosted him.
I love your
Appreciate
organic
that.
response to all this. dude.
Yeah.
That's so good. Yeah, 100%. Right? I mean,
Like,
like,
thank you. Well, that's the thing, though, because
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean, because I have recommended people to work for the company. I don't work there anymore.
Right.
I'm unemployed, for anybody wondering. But no, I had recommended people to come to work there, and they came and interviewed and either did poorly or just blew it off. And I'm like, thanks, man.
Yeah. It's
Really glad I threw your name and my name out
right.
there.
It's like those people do not realize.
Like I very
you're
much
making me look
yeah,
bad.
I very much respect the supervisor that you absolutely just blew off.
Right.
Well, and the other thing
After
too,
expressing like interest over
Yeah.
doing this.
Right.
well, and I don't know about you guys, but I usually would not recommend someone come work at the company I'm working at unless I myself would enjoy working with them. Not just because
Exactly.
they're friends, but because I respect their work ethic and you know.
Yeah,
So would you
exactly. And every
recommend-
time that happened, it was somebody that, but it was and the low key that kind of like changed my like.
Oh
okay.
yeah. Well, it does. That's exactly. It's more
Like
of a
I'm
betrayal.
never gonna like.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ever gonna recommend you to another job I work
Yep.
for ever again. If I work anywhere else other than this, I'm never gonna say your name again.
So would you recommend the three of us there, Zach?
For what? For my job?
Yeah.
I mean,
I already
get you
applied
guys
it.
hired for my job to help me
I'm
with
not-
my
I
job,
am
I
not
absolutely
saying-
would.
I
That'd be so
already
cool.
applied at Rock County. I already applied at Rock County Corrections. I might see you.
Did you really?
Yeah.
There you go. They'll. I mean, you'll get a call.
I mean,
back.
I applied there, and I applied at like Rock County Sheriff, but
Yeah.
you know
How long was the application?
how long?
Yeah. How big was it?
Big.
Yeah.
Packet.
Yeah, it was pretty big.
So I had to actually do the entire CO application because it has part of the background check on it, and in order to actually be in the building, I have to do the background check. They have to run it on me.
I have no idea when
30
I'm ever going to actually. You should see the
38 pages.
You should see the Dane County one.
Oh, I believe it. 38 pages for you to be in the building for anywhere around inmates for any longer than 30 minutes. You have to fill this thing out before you can even come into the building. So we have contractors and stuff that they're in there for maybe an hour and a half to maybe put up a rack or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you got to fill this out. And they see a 37-page document. And I'm like, yeah, you got to fill all of it out. All right, well, I guess I'll come next week instead of this week.
Yeah.
But I think it is. It's a little bit more of a betrayal too. Like when you really believe that they could do a good job and they just either blow it off or they only work there for a few days and just decide, nah, I'm going to go back to what I was doing. Or I'm going to go do this or that.
It's like, dude, I put my neck out there
Exactly.
for you.
Yeah.
And it's so that I think that's such a man mentality too for men. Have you guys seen The Crucible? You remember The Crucible back in high school?
Yeah.
John Proctor.
Yeah.
His famous words were, "Because it's my name." You know, he refused to actually confess to something because he didn't want his name dragged through the mud.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a lot of men are like that. You know, that's my reputation. You know,
Right.
I don't take that lightly.
Whatever that means.
Exactly.
Whatever
Yeah.
that means in
That's
the
all I
real
got,
world.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all
Yeah.
I got.
Yep.
And it might not even be a very big one.
You
It
know-
might only be within this company.
Sure.
But it's what I have in this
It's what I've got. Yeah, it's important to me. You know, that's what it is. I think that's a lot of a very man thing, because a lot of women would just, I think their thought on it would just be, who cares? You know, but me, like that, yeah, that's my name. I don't want people dragging my name through the mud.
It's that perception is reality to some people.
that used to be my most hated. Like
I fucking
that
hated.
they said that, they said that in the Army a lot around you, didn't they?
Oh, I don't know. No, I don't.
I
think
heard that
so.
a lot in the Marine Corps.
Did you?
It was, it's like, oh, I didn't do that wrong. I did this wrong. It's like, well, so and so thinks you did it wrong. So perception is reality.
Yes.
And it would just be like, that's fucking bullshit, because reality is reality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there'd be times.
Then the longer you go through life, the more real that gets.
It's
though, because it's like
100%
it doesn't
real.
matter if I did this and didn't do that. They think I
Yep.
did that, therefore I did that.
Yep. And it's more of a testament to them than you.
Yes,
You know. But it's just one
but
of those things.
but
that
it
you have
absolutely
to,
affects you. It's like it doesn't
Like,
matter. It
100%
doesn't
it
matter if
does,
you didn't
yeah.
do that. They think
Well,
you did that.
Yep. So you got to live your life as if everyone's viewing you through that worst lens.
Well, that's a good point, because I just had some stuff happen to me at work. So frustrating. So
Play the Diddy song.
Some stuff happened to him at work too.
no, nothing like that. So yeah, my boss calls me. I call in sick one day. I had emailed her, let her know I wasn't coming in that day, because my supervisor is not directly at the facility. My supervisor is actually down in Texas somewhere.
Only email?
So what's that?
Only email?
Yes,
didn't
yes,
call?
that
I
is
know.
a
Didn't
form
text?
of accepted.
I want to pinch him for that too. Be like, that
So
probably should have
So
called or text or something at least too.
So when when I've contacted my boss before, she will tell me an email is acceptable.
well, then fair enough.
So-
Email it is.
Yep.
So
Every time email.
yeah,
then.
because right. So I emailed her, told her I was sick. My work day usually starts around 8 o'clock, at 8 o'clock or just before, and 10:30 rolls around. I'm sleeping in my bed, sicker than a dog, and 10:30 my phone's ringing. Hey, hello, hey, why aren't you at work? And I'm like, I'm sick. Check your email. She's like, oh, well, I've been away or I'm on vacation and I have my email being forwarded. And I said, okay. And she says, well, why does the facility think that you haven't been there for a week? Because they're telling us you haven't been there for a week. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I was like, I don't know. I'll call them and figure out what's going on. And so that right there, that's all it took, right? Because I call the facility and they're like, no, we had an issue earlier that we needed resolved really quickly. And I'm not sure. I don't know why they're saying that we said that. And so now I'm having to play this game of I have to try to prove to my superiors.
You're playing telephone.
Yeah,
to say
exactly.
that it's like I have been at work except for
Yeah.
today, which I called out to you for.
And so this was on a Tuesday. The day before, Monday, I still wasn't feeling the greatest, right? I wasn't feeling great, but I stayed in my office most
I
of
was
the
just saying,
day.
I was waiting for you to be like, oh, I went to work anyway because I'm not dealing with that again.
Yeah, well, no. So
Just
the Monday
spreading
before
the COVID
this,
everywhere.
yeah, the Monday before this,
I've only got the Omicron. It's okay.
yeah,
Way
I
less
stayed,
deadly.
Well,
So
I
old
stayed. I stayed in my office. I stayed in my office to not get anyone else sick, and I just kind of laid low. And so the only thing I could think of was that, okay, well, maybe somebody didn't see me walking around on Monday, so they just assumed I wasn't there. And so, when they said a week or something, like I hadn't been there that week or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, the frustrating part is now I'm having to play. I'm emailing my boss. I'm emailing the facility, letting them know.
You're supposed to be off
Yeah,
sick, and you're having to like defend your
I
life.
ended up having to
right
go
now.
in, and I'm still doing it now because I'm worried that they think I'm not there.
Yeah.
So every, I'm emailing. Okay, I'm emailing the captain of the jail. Okay, my hours today are from 8 to 5. Send. I'm like, come on. And then I'm having to message my supervisor just to make sure that she knows I'm at my desk at my computer.
Right.
And then God forbid I let the.
It's like a weird defensiveness.
It is.
Well,
All
it's like I
because-
can't just trust that you're doing your. It's like you can't
Yeah,
just trust that I'm doing
exactly.
my job. It's like I feel like it's
Right.
like
Before
even
this,
though
there
you're
was-
not micromanaging me, it's like because you're not
Exactly.
micromanaging me, you don't believe that I'm doing my job.
Exactly. And
Well, it's also you could be blowing this way out of proportion as well.
Fair
Like,
enough.
You're
Fair enough.
You've,
I could
you've
be
gotten
just-
a corrective action once, right? Potential corrective action. Now you're like,
I don't even.
Oh
think
my
that-
God!
Is that even a corrective action, or
No.
was that just like a?
No,
it,
like,
it was more of a
it's-
clarification.
it was a miscommunication, obviously. And I
yeah,
could,
but to me,
still,
to
that
me,
would
you're,
make me
you're
nervous. It's
taking
like-
it as a corrective action.
Yeah.
It's like,
so
well,
you're,
it's like obviously this has been getting spread around without my knowledge, so now I need to like.
that's my thought. And while that may be an overreaction, like for all I know, my supervisor isn't thinking about me
No, they
at
don't
all.
care at all.
But
Probably
at the
farthest
same
thing from their
time,
mind is you.
yeah. But at the same time,
But how
I'm like,
once again,
narcissistic
it's
is that?
semper I. They're only thinking about themselves in this selfish society.
yeah,
Quit that main character syndrome out, man.
yeah. I don't know, man. But yeah, there is a
But that's 100%
perception versus
I went through
reality,
the
yeah.
exact same thing where all of a sudden you get really defensive and you start almost acting out and you almost do actions that could get you fired
Yeah.
because you're trying to counteract that perception is reality
Right.
argument, which exactly what Joey probably just said is you were probably just blowing it out of proportion in the first place.
Yeah, 100%.
So, like, yeah,
that very
you're
well
probably
could
all
be
right.
the case. Yeah.
You're fine because like in your situation, it's not like habitual. Like I'd say if that probably happened one more time.
Oh yeah. Well, if they get called, if they get
Yeah.
called from the facility and the facility says we haven't seen a lot of Zach in the last couple of weeks,
then they're
okay.
going to start doing
yeah,
something to look into you. Probably.
Absolutely. But in this case, it was a miscommunication, and the fact that I'm doing things, yeah, it may be an overreaction, but at the same time, if you're going to overreact over a miscommunication like this without verifying the facts and not actually asking questions, maybe.
Yep.
well, what's to say that they were overreacting?
Who?
The people that called you, Zach.
Well,
The boss?
yeah.
because
Boss
they
called him.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying that just because they called you to say, "Hey, where you at?" doesn't mean that they're overreacting.
No.
Right.
It was a
Essentially
little bit.
not at all.
Right. It was a little bit of an overreaction because she was frantic.
Oh,
She was frantic.
so he's saying the tone was.
Yeah, and then on top of that, the salesman that handles the account for the jail, he was kind of like, "Well, you need to make sure that they know exactly where you are whenever you're there because
Oh.
they need to see you." Blah 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 blah.
You tell him to
So it was
sit right here, buddy.
Yeah, well, it was.
Oh,
I'm holding up my middle
Like I
finger.
said.
Play the sound.
Oh,
but-
hit that button there on the soundboard.
Yeah, it was. Who knows? Maybe I'm overreacting about it, but at the same time, it's just like, man,
Well,
I
it's your-
feel like
it's
I
your
gotta prove it.
livelihood.
Yeah,
You wouldn't be if perception wasn't reality.
Yeah, true.
That's
True,
the
true.
Exactly.
point.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like he's been there dutifully every day.
Yeah.
Right.
And somehow now it's come into
Now
question.
Well, question on it. But now
somehow
his
now
job's
it's
a
being
question.
called into question by
Right.
people that aren't even present.
Exactly.
And it's like,
yeah.
now
like,
you're
what the-
defending
what the-
yourself to people that it's like you're not even in the same state as me.
yeah.
How would you know?
Well, not only that, but it's
Right.
actually being quite. I mean, I don't know if there's someone that actually said they hadn't seen me all week, but it's totally possible that someone
But
said
all that
that.
hits, and you're like, who said this? Why
Well-
do they think that I haven't been? I've been here all week.
Not only
Yeah.
that, but I don't see everybody all week. You know,
Right.
like
Right.
I mean, my job is basically make sure everything's running well. If it is, I've got a few other duties that I can make sure, the maintenance of things is taken
Duty.
up. But at the same time, I'm not going out of my way to go talk to everybody around that entire facility. So if someone says that they haven't seen me for a week, it's totally possible.
Doesn't
that
sound
I've
very
been at
inclusive
I
work.
haven't seen you for a week. Well, how often do you step out of your office, sir?
Well, not only that,
We
but
need to get Zach in
Yeah.
with the DEI officer. You need to expand your
Yeah.
diversity and inclusion, sir.
yeah. I'm not
Equity,
gonna,
though, you're doing just fine.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Keep it
yeah.
up.
So, yeah, I don't know, man. Selfish world that we live in. I don't know what the fix is for it. I mean, there's many little fixes, but I think it comes down to the beginning of our but I think it comes down to a lot of the beginning of our conversation, which is
trannies.
Just making sure that you're making sure that you're around your kids. People need to do better with their kids.
Don't let them hang out with P. Diddy.
Yeah, that's
that's a given.
The diddler strikes again.
Diddler.
Well, especially if you want to become a rapper, if you want to have a rapping career,
P. Diddler, baby.
stay away from. Well, actually, no. It's go to P. Diddy if you want to have a rapping career.
I say, if you want a career, you better go through him. And
if you want a rapping career and you're gay, go for it.
you don't have to
fit
be
right
gay.
in.
Whoa.
Well, if you enjoy
hey man,
it,
they're getting 50 million. You know, like
yeah. I don't know. You know,
for 50 mil.
I just want to bring this up at the
it.
end of the episode because I'm going to go into what beer and stuff we're drinking. But I'm not homophobic, but I am afraid of having anything shoved up my rear end.
It's not that bad.
You're an Audi only.
Yeah.
No any, all Audi.
Not
I don't
that
want-
bad.
Listen.
Don't want
This
any
is
of
your
that.
this is your
I am afraid of
this
that.
is your perception is reality moment. It's not as bad as you think.
Oh,
I
good
just don't want it.
Lord. Good Lord. What you drinking over there, Kyle?
So, New Glarus. Haha, surprise. Not really, because that's all we drink over here. Started
Seems
off
like it.
with the two women because I
And
really
Kyle
enjoyed it last
drinking
time.
the same old swill he's drinking every other week. No,
Here we go. But no, the Dancing Man wheat I picked up again because I figured it probably wasn't going to stick around for too much longer.
Probably
and
not.
It's something that doesn't come around very often. In fact, I hadn't heard about it until this, maybe a month or two ago.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. So, yeah, New Glarus Dancing Man wheat.
New Glarus, if you see a new flavor that you haven't seen before, you better.
probably good.
Well, it's probably good. Not only that,
but you got to
but
snatch it up right
you better
away.
you better nab it up
Because
pretty
it's
quick.
probably a pretty limited release
Yep.
on
Dude,
how much they have.
You
and
got it.
I tell you what, because they come out with a limited pear flavor. You know, it's the one that
It's
comes
only
in the
been the
4-pack.
1 year.
1 year I've only ever seen it or had it, and it is I really wish because it's super good.
It's a what are they? A tart.
Oh,
It's a tart.
like
so
but
yes.
with pear though, like
yeah, but it's pear,
dude.
and so they actually.
There's
good.
something weird. I love like tarts, fruited sour beers,
Yeah.
Yep.
anything like that. I love them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Well-
and it's like you said.
They're light.
There's very
They're
few that I
lighter.
take. Like some of them aren't that great.
Yeah.
And then some of them are phenomenal.
Yep.
Right.
And it's always the ones that are phenomenal that it's like I had it that
Yep.
one time and then I've never seen it ever again.
So
Right.
this flavor was pear 21, and I think I introduced it to you, or did you find
Yeah,
it?
no, you told me about it.
So yeah, we had this actually on draft, and we were like, "Whoa, that's
Yeah,
so
I never
good."
experienced that. I could
Well,
imagine. I can't imagine how
The
good
bottle
it is on
was
draft.
just as good.
Okay.
So
well, you say that, so I'll believe you.
Yeah.
But, like I gotta imagine on draft.
you got to
it was
try a
little better.
draft, yeah, obviously. But it was called Pear 21 because it came out in the spring of 21, and so it was that year that they've only had it, because I've been on the lookout for it constantly. They've only had it that 1 year.
I'm upset I missed out on it.
It was good.
I like once again. I love fruited sours and tarts, etc.
Yeah.
I didn't even know New Glarus had any, so now I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
How are you on like the fruited wines like that? Apple wine and blueberry wines and like.
Listen, I like strawberry wines, decent, but it's cheap. It's
I
alright.
mean, I'm talking about like an orchards
I tell you what I like. I
Like
like meads.
meads.
I enjoy
Meats
them.
are
Okay.
yeah.
If you and it's hard
They're-
to find a good one.
they're
Don't
kind
ever
of
go
that
for a
mix-
don't ever go for a straight honey mead.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you right now, that is not what you're expecting. You're
Yeah.
thinking a sweet, delicious
Nope.
mead. That is going to be the most bitter thing. It's going to be an IPA on steroids,
Yeah.
and it's going to be like, wow, that was way drier and more bitter than I
That's-
ever expected.
You
I've
probably have
tried
to go
that.
to a Ren fair for maybe
No, you
some
can.
good stuff.
You can find them in some liquor stores that'll
Yeah.
carry like decent mead selections. You got to find yourself like a nice. The best one I've had has been a peanut butter jelly mead.
Interesting.
Weird.
I can't even. I wish I knew the brand name right off the top of my
Hmm.
head. It was so good, and it was pretty sweet, a little dry, but it was so good. And I was like, wow, that was an awesome flavor.
You know, like shouting out weird things like that. Because I know there's like a point
Like P.
to be
Diddy?
asking you. Well, obviously it's about as weird as it gets, hey. But the jalapeno vodka. There's a Harvard.
Never tried it.
There's
Had
a
it.
distillery
I've
in
had it.
Harvard that makes a jalapeno vodka, and I mean, dude, it is so
Wait,
good.
That's not weird to me because I've seen plenty of. There's a Wisconsin vodka company that makes a.
Is it the Tabasco one?
There's a Tabasco one,
Yeah,
but they also
yeah, I've
make
seen
like
that.
a. They make like a. It's like ham roll up flavored vodka or bacon
What?
flavor.
Really?
It's vodka specifically made for making Bloody Marys with.
Okay.
So it's got
Oh,
flavor,
yeah,
like it'll be
yeah,
like
yeah.
dill pickle flavored vodka,
Okay.
etc.
All right.
So it's like whatever flavor you like the most to add, and then you can add on top of it.
Interesting.
So
Colton, do you still have that vodka?
the apple vodka, no, I threw that away.
I was hoping you could.
Oh my god, that was the worst.
I was hoping you could
So
bring
you're
it
thinking
down.
you're thinking apple pie moonshine, right? So you're
Yeah.
thinking
Yeah,
apple.
that's what I
You're
would
thinking apple
imagine.
pie vodka.
Yeah.
Awful. The
Really?
worst thing I ever had.
Yeah.
It was even yellow. It had the yellowish tinge like an
Okay.
apple pie would have,
This is like
and it had the ring of
apple rubbing alcohol?
Worst absolute taste in my life ever. That was probably the worst liquor I've ever
Interesting.
tasted in my life.
Huh.
It's like nail polish remover.
Yeah,
It's
literally.
like-
It was literally like nail
Yeah.
polish remover.
smelt like it too.
Dude, I hate that artificial apple
Nuts.
and liquor flavor. Like if it comes to apple pie, I got to make it myself. I'm not buying any apple.
Oh
flavored
no, yeah,
anything,
make it
dude.
yourself.
Or you find a buddy that's
I
like
used to-
making it and bottling a bunch of it. Like, I made you a bottle of apple pie. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, you're just sitting apple cider in Everclear,
Yeah.
and letting it sit.
I used to drink.
it's delicious.
I used to drink when I went out with friends. I used to get Crown Apple,
Yeah.
and I'd get Crown Apple on the rocks, and that'd be like my 3, 4, 5 shots in the one glass, and I got such bad gut rot from drinking those. I'll never
wait, from
touch
what
that.
was it?
Crown
Apple
Apple?
Crown, yeah.
There's
Interesting.
a ton of sugar. in
Really?
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I was
Yeah.
just gonna say. I guess
was-
there is a lot of sugar.
The
in
Jack
there.
Apple would always get me a little hot.
Apple
too.
Jack's
Yeah.
good. You know what I've always loved is Winter
It's
Jack.
better, but
It's
Jack.
weak, but it's like their winter cider.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
The Winter Jack
But
cider.
I-
Dude, I always loved that. But everybody always act like it was 40%. It's like, dude, it's like it's wine. It's like 15, it's like 15%. But it's so good. You could
That's-
just drink it. You could just slam a whole bottle of
That's
it.
kind
You'd
of-
get drunk, but it would be like
right.
you weren't dead. Like if you actually drank like a fifth of like 40% alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was the point I whole brought up, like, do you like the apple wines and the blueberry wines? Because there's an apple orchard out here in Delavan that actually, like, whatever berries are in season, or if it's apple season, they make the apple wine.
And I
But-
love the weird ones.
but-
like boysenberry.
yeah, like
type
all
stuff,
that
and
weird
it's like
stuff.
it's
Yeah.
like what is that? I've never heard of that. And then you drink it, it's like that's delicious.
Right. And they'll do like the whole tastings and everything.
And I've
but
never
man,
been a
I'm-
wine guy.
No,
But I
that
love
stuff is
weird
amazing.
wines. Like grape wines, never really got into them. But you get those weird wines, and it's like that's still.
Yeah.
But that's, in my opinion, that's closer to a mead than an actual mead.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do like a good wine depending on what I'm eating, but yeah, I know what you're talking about, and those
Yeah, like you like
Those
a Merlot.
little-
you love a dry Merlot.
I do like Merlot.
That
That's
dry
probably
wine
one
is
of my
like one of the
favorite wines.
weirdest things in the
or
world.
or am I thinking of
It, like,
Sauvignon?
evaporates from your tongue.
It's actually pronounced Merlot.
Gone.
Merlot.
No,
Merlot.
it's not.
Merlot.
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 Yeah.
What's the Sauvignon Blanc?
Sauvignon
Yeah,
Blanc.
Sauvignon.
Sir, that's a white wine. We don't talk about those.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
That's racist of me.
that's a dry white.
Speaking of me.
Dry white.
10 lashings.
So getting back to what we're drinking, I actually didn't have any beer today. I just realized that, but I have been drinking on some of this
Chug.
coffee.
Chug,
but,
start chugging right now.
Yeah,
Chug.
Shotgun it.
Shotgun that coffee. You want shotgun that coffee.
Shotgun out of the glass bottle.
No, I was saying go get a beer right now
I mean, I
and send
could.
it.
No,
What are you drinking for
Just gonna send
coffee?
it.
No, yeah, it's whatever Joey made. Which, if you want to throw the name of the coffee out, but it's chocolate raspberry coffee. That was good stuff, man. I've had 2 cups
Yeah,
of
I
it.
definitely enjoyed a cup of that myself too. But I was definitely gonna drink the beer because I ain't no puss.
Yeah, well, it wasn't that. I don't know. I was enjoying the coffee, man.
Puss.
Oh, okay.
It sounds like he's you're Meek Mills right now, and Kyle is
Oh,
P
good
Diddy.
grief.
Play it so they know. They need the context. No.
No, wrong. That's racist, Zach. I can't believe
Just
you
do
do
it.
that.
Hit the button. We're at the end. Nobody,
all right, whatever.
everybody who
They
stopped
tuned out
listening,
already.
everybody
This
who
is the
could
outro.
everybody who could judge you has stopped listening already.
So, well, context. What is this
This
exactly?
is the
It's
leaked
two-
audio
No,
of
just
P.
play
Diddy
it.
and Meek Mill. I'm P. Diddy, and Zach will be playing the part of Meek Mill.
No, Colton can play. He
Okay.
wanted to play it.
I'm Meek
No,
Mill.
Colton is very much a top, uncompared to.
Good look.
You can't have two tops.
See that? Did you hear Zach there? And then do you hear me listening?
What was that?
And there you go.
That was
I didn't hear that really well. Could you play that?
No, I'm not playing it again. Everyone heard it just fine.
I am drinking an orange smash. Just roll right past that like it never happened.
Woo. You know what's crazy? Is this will never be taken off of YouTube. But
No,
we talk
no.
about Bill Gates
Unless
and
we
the
start
jab.
talking about
Yeah.
Bill Gates. Hold on real fast. Bill Gates. No, I'm just kidding.
He's gonna find out,
I
yeah.
wanted to play on YouTube.
I gotta tell you, Joe,
Bill
these things
Gates was
are,
there
these things
actually
are
with P. Diddy.
strong.
Are they? What is
10
it? What exactly
This
is it?
an
10%.
orange smash from Devil's Backbone Distilling Company. It is a ready-to-drink vodka cocktail drink.
Ooh.
10% by volume.
Wow.
Should have started with those.
That's like those beers that we had. You brought them in.
But hey, try a sip. It doesn't
try
taste
it.
like 10%.
Devil's
You
Backbone.
think it's gonna hurt your mouth when you drink it? You know, usually when you see something strong like that, you expect it to be just about
tastes
awful.
like orange soda.
That's what I
It's-
mean.
I mean,
It's
it is
so
Does it
good.
taste like
It's
an
very
orange
good.
soda?
Very smooth.
Hell yeah,
very.
dude.
It's good.
I'm grabbing one of those before we leave.
Yeah.
Somebody get that man his keys.
Is that the stuff that we tried the sample of?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where
yeah.
was that at?
Woodman's.
Woodman's.
Yeah.
Just like they were on sale for $5.
Man,
Yeah.
every
Oh,
time I
wow.
go there, they have the pizza sample guy. I'm trying to find the liquor sample guy.
Wait. Here
I
in
do miss
Beloit?
that
Since
pizza.
when is there a pizza sample guy?
What?
Here in
Since
Beloit?
when?
Oh, I guess you
In
guys
Beloit,
are just...
there's
They haven't done a pizza sample guy in forever.
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
I'm
Really?
thinking back to my olden
Yep.
days.
I was a kid and I used to get those.
Yeah,
dude,
you were
we
And
a
I
used
used
kid.
to like circle around.
Yeah,
and get,
exactly.
Like,
That's
multiple
what I'm saying.
times.
You don't know.
Oh, you're
They-
putting
they
a new one in?
know. They
I'll be
know.
Yeah.
They
Well,
know.
another thing that people need to
Kid, that's
understand
20
though,
years ago.
Yeah, people need to understand
Shut
though.
up, Joe.
Anyone that's not from the Midwest, they have to understand how much of the grocery store is dedicated to frozen pizzas in the Midwest.
That's wild to me too, because it is
Is
like
it
a
not
thing
like
here.
that anywhere else?
no.
No.
My dad comes in from Maryland and he sends pictures back to his buddies in Maryland.
They got like two options.
Well, yeah,
Tombstone and Jackson. That's probably it.
yeah,
And those are both Wisconsin
yeah,
brands.
yeah. Outside of that,
DiGiorno.
Frozen
That's-
pizza is absolutely a Wisconsin thing.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
It
Oh,
is.
yeah.
They don't got lots of
Well, in
matzahs
Chicago,
or the,
look, Home Run
or the
Inn in
draft house.
Chicago.
Oh,
you
that's
guys ever had
good.
the
House
draft
is
house?
Milwaukee,
beer?
right?
Oh, those things are outstanding.
Oh, it's
Yep.
amazing.
Yep.
The mozzarellas.
Lots of
lots of
matzah.
matzahs.
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
Okay,
those are
let's stop
amazing.
talking about pizza and let's
Hold
wrap
up.
it up because I'm hungry as
So
I'm
hungry.
so hungry
I'm
right
getting
now.
hungry.
All right,
thinking
yeah,
about
Joe.
it.
What are you drinking on?
I
Speaking
was
of
drinking two women, but
nothing.
I'm just
Sounds
staring
good. All
at
right,
food,
we'll catch
so-
you next time, guys.
Drinking on some Meek Mill over there. Play the sound again.
oh.
Kyle's doing really good. So, all right. Well, with that being said, we'll see you guys on the next one.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yep.
See you, Colt.